Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, welcome on into the Central Committee stream with your host, Mike from Pennsylvania. It was a tragedy last night, chat. The Battle of Pennsylvania ended. The Battle of Pennsylvania ended. What a tragedy. I was hoping for the counter sweep, and honestly, if I had to be honest, I'd say the Penguins were the better team in Game 6. But ultimately, one of the great things about hockey is that a goalie can stand on their head. And so the Philadelphia Flyers have defeated the Pittsburgh Penguins. The Battle of Pennsylvania has been concluded. You hate to see it. You hate to see it. The Flyers mascot is absolutely top tier. Iceberg is pretty chill as well. But like Iceberg is a sport level goat, whereas Gritty is a worldwide level goat mascot. I think everybody understands that Gritty is like the most Philadelphia. It's like a character who embodies a city so perfectly. You can't really question. I mean, I have to give Gritty credit. You know, Gritty is nuts. I remember watching a triple OT game between the Flyers and Pens a few decades ago. Yes. What year was that? I would say that was like 2000, huh? The Battle of Pennsylvania is concluded. And ladies and gentlemen, can I just say this? Another battle has been concluded. PLATNER won. The fuck is wrong with me? It's over. It's over. Janet Mills drops out. As the stream was loading, the statements were put out. Janet Mills is out. PLATNER has won. The ultra liberal centrist liberal combo failed. All they needed is another couple cavernacle posts reminding everybody that PLATNER was a veteran, and Janet Mills would have won. Damn it. Now let's see if the DNC sticks to blue no matter who. They already have bent the knee. And I don't know what else to tell you, chat, other than absolute and total and utter defeat. And not only was she beaten, she gave up without going to the voting. And honestly, they did this because they didn't want to see it demonstrated just how more powerful a progressive candidate would be. So like Kamala Harris dropping out before Iowa, Janet Mills drops out so that they can maintain the lie that people want centrist Democrats. This is an absolute annihilation. Janet Mills bows out of main Senate race as an insurgent Democrat rises. Absolutely bodied. Absolutely destroyed. As Hasan would say, she was cumstered and dumpstered. I gotta be honest, I'm not a fan of cumstered and dumpstered. I'm not a fan of cumstered and dumpstered. I hate to be woke, Mike, but let me just say, I'm not sure I'm a fan of cumstered and dumpstered. Not a fan. It's funny because like I will say vulgar shit, but then I'll also have other vulgar shit that I just don't like. And it's very arbitrary, and that's the best way to be. I like to be crass when I think it's funny. If you're being crass, then it's not funny. It's funny when I do it. Okay, anyway. Janet Mills, the other thing is I'm allowed to not like something without becoming super lame about it and trying to make it like, there's a thing that left-wingers do, and I'm sorry, but this is true, which is if they don't like something, they try to make, instead of just going, oh, that's my personal preference, I don't like that, they try to make it some fucking grand narrative about how them not liking it is really because they're more woke and blah, 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 blah. And it's just like, you're allowed to just say, I don't like it. It's okay. You're allowed to be somewhat of an individual. You don't have to create a grand narrative around why you don't like hip hop because it's actually misogynistic or whatever the fuck. You know what I mean? Just say, hey, it doesn't vibe with me. You're allowed to say that, man. Now you're wrong, but you're allowed to say that. No one's going to cancel you. Just call it bourgeois culture. That's what I do. No. Governor Janet Mills of Maine. Oh my God, chat. We've got a morning hype train. Welcome on in, everybody. That's what we like to see. So what a day for us, chat. PLATNER wins the primary. Congress is trying to condemn Hasan. The most absurd gerrymandering is going to go down now, and I don't know what else to say. You know what I actually think? I just posted it right before I went live. I said Democrats need to start getting serious and doing state legislative gerrymanders in Wisconsin and Michigan. Like every state the Democrats control, and they need to go fucking buck wild, gerrymandering everything they can. Republicans already do it. They already do it. It's pointless to stop. Hasan has had so much motion lately. Hasan's motion is just a reflection of our greater motion. Everything is happening exactly as I said it would. Everything is happening exactly as I said it would, which is Kamala Harris loses, centrist Democrats are discredited, Donald Trump goes wild, overreaches, everybody hates his ass, and then we have an open presidential primary in 2028. Everything is happening according to my plan. The left is rising exponentially, everything. Now, I will say that Donald Trump is even worse than I thought possible, and I was very pessimistic. I was not going in there going, oh, Donald Trump won't be that bad. That's not true. I think I might have said he won't be any worse on Israel. And honestly, and I think everybody, you need to accept this, he was worse on Israel. He absolutely was worse on Israel. I didn't see the Iran war coming. I didn't think he would actually do the Iran war. Like, I was surprised. Like, it was such a central part of his campaign about no more wars that I didn't think he would actually do the war in Iran. I thought he would keep allowing Israel to do horrible shit, status quo, you know, genocide, ethnic cleansing, steal territory from neighbors. Like, I thought he was going to take that. But no, actually attacking Iran, that was surprising. I think that surprises... I think that surprised most people. Like, that was actually insane. Please tell me how to overthrow West Virginia and make it viable, brother. I'm sorry, man. Real talk, Janet dropping out probably fucks me over. I'm running for my talent select board, and her dropping out is going to drive turnout way down. Yeah, I know. That's probably also part of why they did it. A lot of the Janet Mills allies in the main politics are like, oh, she's dragging us down. Kamala would have been better. Absolutely true. But the problem with the Kamala would have been better is that it would have been worse in the long term. It would have been better in the short term, but it would have been worse in the long term. And the reason why I say that is, look what happened with Joe Biden. It was better in the short term, but it ultimately ended up being worse in the long term. And the reason why is because Joe Biden didn't do anything with the power that he had to head off the sources and causes of Trumpism. He didn't attack conservative power. He basically just put his head in the sand and then was buffeted around by events until he was unpopular, and then he lost to Donald Trump. West Virginia, like, if we're going to change places like West Virginia, it's going to require us to win nationally first, right? Like, the momentum right now, we are fighting a culture war, and there is a counter-hegemonic, anti-liberal meme that has engulfed white working class people. Previously, it was the FDR New Deal, union meme. Well, that was defeated by people like Joe Biden and Bill Clinton and Barack Obama, right? So that old meme of the old, like, working class white Democrat, that was destroyed. And so the consciousness that people have now is this, like, I've got a big truck, blue jeans, that kind of shit. The faux rural populist conservatism. That's an identity that has superseded their identity as a blue collar, union man or whatever. So if we're going to build that back up, it's going to take legislative power. We're going to have to win without them, basically, which is unfortunate, but it is what it is. And I do think some of them will come in our direction. I do think that, the left will do better in West Virginia than, Kamala Harris did. But I don't think it's going to be enough because, as I said, like, the material conditions in West Virginia have changed. People are not all union coal miners anymore. There's only like 17,000 coal miners left or some tiny number. So, and those guys are Republican because why? They make upper middle class money and they support their coal industry. So, like, even the union miners are fucking not, they're not fucking Democrats. Anyway. More people work in bowling alleys nationally than people who work in mines. And that's a really striking stat because bowling alleys are dying out. Actually, one of the saddest things, for a few months, Vio and I were bowling a bunch. And one of the things about the bowling alleys is that like independent bowling alleys are dying out. Like actually good bowling alleys. It's being bought up by, as you guessed it, private equity. And they're making boleros and string pin bowling alleys. And it's fucking terrible. It used to be a business that like a family would own. But boomers are selling them for a big profit to private equity. Surprise, surprise. Anyway, what were we talking about? Oh, okay, yeah, Janet Mills is fucking out. Janet Mills bows out of the main Senate race as an insurgent Democrat rises. Why didn't they say his name? Graham Plattner. Why did they say insurgent Democrat like it's a secret? Her withdrawal reflects the energy of the party's left and voters' unease with older candidates and paves the way for Graham Plattner to challenge Senator Susan Collins in November. Governor Janet Mills of Maine, the Democratic establishment's choice to run for the Senate seat long held by Senator Susan Collins, a Republican, suspended her campaign on Thursday, saying she no longer had the financial resources to compete against Graham Plattner, a progressive political newcomer. Isn't this fucking amazing? And the answer is everybody was like, she was calling up billionaires. They're like, you're going to lose. Why would we give you money? We're going to give it to Susan Collins. Fuck you. Her exit paves the way for Mr. Plattner, an oysterman who has led her in polls to become the Democratic nominee in one of the most important Senate races in the country. Now, this is a note. None of you would notice this because you guys are you're closer to ultras than you are Democrats, which is actually where I am as well. So you guys may not notice this, but I notice it because I also was a Democratic Party consultant for the left. But I understand how the Democratic Party works, okay? And the way the Democratic Party works is if he was a centrist, they would be saying a veteran, a Marine veteran, a Marine veteran and oysterman. They would say that if he was a centrist. But because he's not a centrist, they don't say that. They say an oysterman, a veteran. They'd say he's a veteran. Oh, no. While I have the drive and passion, commitment, and experience, and above all else, the fight, continue on, I very simply do not have the one thing that political campaigns unfortunately require today, the financial resources. Her exit is a blow not only to the two-term sitting governor, but also to Senator Chuck Schumer of New York and the Democratic Party establishment that he leads. Mr. Schumer, the minority leader, has for almost 2 decades chosen his party's Senate candidates with little internal opposition. Hey! What happened? The Democrats seem to be getting their ass kicked since Chuck Schumer came into power. Control of U.S. Senate history. There's got to be like, there's got to be like a year. Okay, so when did Chuck Schumer became majority leader? Became Democratic leader, not majority leader, Democratic leader. All right, January 2017. So the only time, like, he had one time, like, and this, by the way, this failure, the 53 Republicans, was a catastrophic failure. They lost a whole bunch of seats they should have won. He's actually terrible. Look at the history of the Democratic Party, though. 61, 61, 58. Jesus. The era may be coming to an end, and Mr. Mills' ill-fated campaign is not the only evidence. In a year when Democrats have grown increasingly bullish about their chances to win the Senate majority, several of Mr. Schumer's handpicked candidates have struggled to gain traction in their primary contests because they're fucking right-wingers and they suck shit. In addition to Ms. Mills, Mr. Schumer and his political apparatus have backed Senate candidates in Iowa, Michigan, and Minnesota who face formidable challengers in the upcoming primary elections. Several of those challengers have made opposition to Mr. Schumer's leadership central to their campaigns. Last month in Illinois, Lieutenant Governor Juliana Stratton won her state's Senate primary while pledging to oppose future Schumer bid to be party leader. Now, as far as I know, Stratton is a Zionist, right? Like, that's why I never cared. I don't give a shit about anybody. I don't care about anyone who's a Zionist. So whether it's John Ossoff, Juliana Stratton, what's the guy in Texas? I forgot his name already. Al Rico. Yeah, thank you. I don't give a shit about any of those Zionists, man. Won her state's Senate primary while pledging to oppose the future Schumer bid to be party leader. The rebuke will only grow stronger if those candidates do dwell in November. Here's the one thing that I will say, and maybe I'm being delusional, or maybe I just understand politicians better. The moment that supporting Israel is damaging and like something that will make you lose, and it's like proven and firmly rooted just how unpopular supporting Israel is, and people start losing elections because of it, all these people who took Israel money are going to be like, oh, what? I hate Israel. What do you mean? Israel's terrible. Oh, I supported them back before Netanyahu made them a fascist country. Like, that's the next plan. And there's also a division, chat. There is a division between Zionists and billionaires. Now, most billionaires are also Zionist because why? Because Israel is an American puppet who does the dirty work for it does the dirty shit America's not supposed to do. When America doesn't want to get their hands dirty, they do it through Israel. Israel is our designated like cat's paw. But everybody understands that Israel equals America. Okay, it's not that complicated. The only people who don't know that are Americans. Israel is hunting down children with special needs. Yeah, I saw that. McMurrow is the future strategy, just lying. Oh, absolutely. Oh, abso-fucking-lutely. McMurrow, I gotta say, like, if you like Pete Buttigieg or Mallory McMurrow, there is something wrong with you. There is something legitimately wrong with you. And I think the best example of the type of person that likes Mallory McMurrow and Pete Buttigieg is Stacey K. Stacey K. Look, this lady is obviously evil, but I can't help but watch this video and think, wow, the Instagram comedian who mainly does crowd work saw a trans woman in the audience and eyes lit up thinking this is going to be great for engagement before beelining to her. Okay. He did crowd work, and then she said she worked for a military contractor. I'm sorry, dude. You lose all of your woke shield points when you work for a fucking military contractor. All right? You don't get to go, well, my viewpoint... No, you lose all your woke points instantly. Let's all point and laugh at the clocky trans woman who dares to have a regular job while having political beliefs that war is bad. First of all, clocky. How do you know? As far as I know, the trans woman isn't in this video. How do you know she's clocky? Okay. How the fuck do you know she's clocky? Regardless of the other stuff, do you really think building rocket motors is a regular job? Compared to like OnlyFans and barista, etc.? Yes. It's a boring big girl corporate job, and there's a lot of companies that turn their nose up at us, but defense contractors don't as much because it's hard work. It's hard out there for a trans girl in tech, and I'll defend any girl who's able to hack out a real living for herself in any way without being dependent on their loved ones. So joining ICE? You're in favor of joining ICE? Is that what we're saying? The rockets she builds hit people that look like me. Would you respect someone who worked for ThyssenKrupp back in the 30s and 40s because their benefits package was really good? I would be thrilled to find out any trans woman survived Nazi Germany, no matter what they had to do. And like, this is every liberal. You know, I've been talking a lot about the red button, blue button lately, and I know it's cringe, but it is actually a useful division. Like the red blue button is actually the challenge of humanity, which is like the people that want to push red, they can't just push red shamefully and cowardly, right? They have to try to go out there and say, actually pushing red is good. Actually pushing red is good. It's good to try to kill people or to save yourself. And so I think Stacey K is an example. And I said, it's not an exaggeration to say that this is the mind of every centrist. Full-on collaboration with evil is okay as long as they prosper. You are evil. Like, she is evil. Stacey K is an evil witch. There's really nothing more to say. And that's kind of what the blue button, red button, thought experiment exposes, is it's like, no one dies. There's no chance of anybody dying until the first person pushes red, right? There is no chance. The only way we introduce killing into that scenario, which is if, you can push the red button, everybody who pushes the red button survives. But if more than 50% of blue people push the blue button, everybody survives. Okay? That's the thought experiment. Now, if you really sit down and you put out if you game theory it out, then for your personal risk, pushing red is best, right? But that makes you a killer of everybody who pushes blue, right? So the smart thing to do is realize there's no reason to push red. There is actually no positive inducement to push red. So you should push blue for the purpose of solidarity, because why would anybody push red? There's no reason to push red. You don't gain anything by pushing red. You're not being incentivized to push red. All you're doing is introducing the idea of killing another person. So you should push blue because blue and red have the same outcome for you. There's no incentive to push red unless a bunch of people cowardly push red irrationally. right? The only reason to push red is if you are irrational and you think everybody else is irrational. You think that the fear alone is going to make people push red. Well, if they sit down and slow down for a second and realize, no, there's no reason to push red. By pushing red, I am introducing risk of death. Push fucking blue. Did I say proser? Oh, whatever. Oh, God damn. I think this post is too old. Whatever the fuck. It doesn't matter. It has 30 likes. Who gives a shit? It's funny because red pressers are saying the blue button starts the death gamble game. This is the ultimate death gamble. You enter the ultimate death gamble. You and everyone who pushes this button dies unless more than 50% of people choose to press this button. The point is that some people are going to push blue. Some people out there are going to push blue. And by pushing red, you kill them. But if you push blue, if enough people are willing to risk their own, to say, hey, I'm pushing blue to save the people that push blue, then nothing happens. The only reason anybody dies is if people are cowardly and self-interested. And ladies and gentlemen, as I block this guy, and what do you know? He's a red button pusher. I think honestly, if we and you know, obviously I'm not saying we should kill everybody who pushes red, right? Like that would be a crazy opinion to have. I would never actually advocate killing every single person who pushes red. But I do think that they shouldn't be able to vote. It's about how it's phrased. If you push blue button, nothing happens. Or if more than 50% of people push red, everyone that pushed blue is killed. I mean, the point is when you rephrase it, you're playing a new game. Right? You're playing every time you rephrase it, you're playing a new game. You're introducing new information. That's not the game. The game is you are put into a room and the description of the blue button is the description of the blue button. Every time you have a different description of the buttons, it's a different game. Every time you have a conversation with somebody else about how to parse through it, it's a different game. And so ultimately, I mean, it's not really a difficult question, right? But it's why the reason why I've been fixated on that as an idea is because red button pushing is actually what's wrong with humanity. What's wrong with humanity is they make diffident choices. In philosophy, we call that diffidence, which is you make an aggressive or negative choice out of fear or out of like uncertainty, right? You don't have to do that. And this actually goes back to Hobbes, which is like the first major, you know, like Enlightenment political philosopher, Thomas Hobbes. He talked about how the reason why we need a state, and he justified the state in a variety of ways. But the number one way that he justified a state is the concept of diffidence, which is if there's nobody who's going to, you know, make sure that justice is done, right? Like if there's nobody out there that's doing disinterested justice, then if I see you and you're a stranger to me, I have to attack you because you're probably going to attack me. But if we have a state, if we have a neutral arbiter that what he put was holds us all in awe, that's old-timey way of saying that we respect and we think is fair, or at least so powerful as to be unoverridable. As long as if we have that thing, the thing that holds everyone in awe, then we won't attack each other because we know that if you attack me, you will get justice done upon you. So I can, even though you're a stranger to me, I can trust you. So society is about creating the conditions where pushing the blue button is automatic. It's so much, it becomes so automatic that people don't even consider pushing the red button. It's not even, they become blind to the possibility of the red button. That is how humanity advances. And as that circle gets bigger and bigger, the more and more people that you consider to be part of that realm of possibility, that when the negative antisocial self-interested behaviors are disincentivized, that is when cooperation can improve and humanity can advance. That's progress. Batman the Dark Knight had this dilemma when they had their prisoners in one boat and the civilians in the other. The prisoners chose not to blow up the other ship. Kind of a good lesson. Yeah, exactly. Of course it is. High trust society that's like China. You guys understand that China today was not always China today, right? You understand that there used to be a lot of crime and theft and scams in China, right? Like the China that we're seeing today, they've built over the last 35 years. Now China is completely safe. And now people don't even consider doing those type of like street crimes and things. It's not even it's not even the possibility matrix for people. From the Reddit poll comments, well, I picked red because it ain't my problem if anyone picks blue. If everyone picked red, everyone survives. So I'm just picking red because everyone else can pick red too. And that's exactly the libertarian or conservative mindset, which is like, I got mine, fuck you. I have no responsibility, moral or otherwise, for the consequences of my action. It's like it's like taking a piss at a shit and throwing it out your window. Hey, it's not my problem. If you didn't see the shit that's on the street, you step in it, that's your fault, right? Once it's out of my window, it's not my problem anymore. Maybe mental illness makes this question easier to answer, but I don't know why I would value my own life over the potential genocide, even if it's only 1% chance. That's still way more people dying than just my own life. Here's my general feeling. I don't want to live in a world with red pushers. I will push blue because I have the moral calculation is I am not responsible for any deaths if I push blue. I cannot be held morally responsible, and I am not morally responsible for any deaths if I push blue. If I push red, I am responsible for everyone who dies, right? And there will be some people that die, okay? I helped kill whoever dies, right? And the second thing is, I don't want to live in the world with red pushers. Red pushers are the type of people who create a society that can you imagine killing all the blue pushers and having only the red pushers? That society would fall apart on its own. You would die in that society. True, China also does have low crime. In China, you also have to go through airport security to use the subway. Foreigners can be forced to provide urine, blood on demand to test for THC. You can't go get into a gas station parking lot in the north without providing a photo ID to the policeman stationed there, but you can't leave your cell phone on a table and nobody will take it. Stuff like providing your ID. You understand that the United States of America does all of that, but worse, right? Like, do you understand, like, everything you just said, the United States does that, but worse. The United States goes through all of your phones and copies them if you're a foreigner that comes into the country. The United States of America considers it legal to read all of your private messages as long as you're not an American, no matter where you are. The United States of America is currently reading your emails and looking at your nudes and sniffing your Apple iCloud. Like, I don't think people who are not American don't realize that you have no privacy from America. You understand that, right? Like, the NSA is currently looking at all of your photos that are in your Apple iPhone. In fact, like, this was known like 15 years ago. In the US, if they don't believe you, you have a legal right to be here. You can be sent off to an off-country concentration camp. Yeah, exactly. We are literally doing that. More foreigners are being put into concentration camps in America than they are in China. Like, you know that, right? Like, America is a quadrillion thousand times worse than China as far as like any of the things you just described. PRISM is a code name for a program under which the United States National Security Agency collects internet communications from various US internet companies. So they basically read all the messages of foreigners. If you're like in an American tech company, you are having your messages read.
It's the cleanest Pakistani I've ever seen. We got no first-degree ties to government or ISI, no shady family. I mean, second-degree contacts are off the charts, but that's everyone in the Middle East with a six-figure income.
Well, it's not dirt that we need necessarily. It's a pressure point, something intimate, some kind of weakness. Can we look through his family?
Mm-hmm. How about his sister-in-law?
Yeah. What is that? Is that some video that she sent somebody?
No, this is live. Out of Paris.
But what do you mean live?
Optic nerve? It's camera and mic activation. I wish we could take credit, but the Brits wrote it. Activation? Yeah, her laptop's off. Or it was, she just forgot to close it. Of course, how would she know? This shit is so sly, the webcam light doesn't even turn on. I always wonder what was under those.
Yeah, this is totally happening. Like, that's why people in the know, they have webcams that they cover. But the problem is, of course, that everything has microphones in it these days. Don't worry, they're totally not creeps. No, Snowden said they used to distribute like people's sexting that they would do with their spouses. They would like share it around the NSA. So they would like take, so, you know, I don't take nudes, you know, I mean, not that it matters, but no meat for the NSA for me. Only Polaroid nudes, exactly. Only tasteful Polaroids. I did show Hog on stream though. That was enough meat for the NSA. All right, let's keep going. Janet Mills bowing out. I want to make this. We need to start from the top. Also, wow, I can't believe. Wow, how did this happen? She's on Morning Joe. That's an amazing. That's so amazing. She managed that. Oh, Plattner in 2008.
There's a fresh, all-new friend, dorm living, but future professor.
Trust me, still so.
They're in global DW.
No. I don't have that comic fellows.
They're freaking out of it. Well,
This is as loud as it gets, guys. I'm sorry.
Address Graham, the veteran organizer.
All right. Graham Plattner is making a speech about her just as we just started. So let's go and let's beam in. Let's beam in. It just started like a minute ago.
And
we're beaming in. I don't trust those volume plugin apps. Like, does anyone have one that is guaranteed safe? I heard one of those volume plugin apps was like hacked or some shit. And I was like, oh yeah, nah. So I decided not to install. That would be true of any extension you install. I think there's different types of threats, right? There's like state level threats, which I know I'm powerless against, right? If the CIA decides they're going to listen to my shit, or the FBI decides they're going to listen, I'm fucked. There's nothing I can do about that. I don't have the technical expertise to fend off the state level threats. But shitty plugin that sniffs my bank details, well, I have the I do have the ability to try not to click on the dumbest plugin. You know what I mean? You could also use a gate filter on the source to raise the volume at OBS. Oh, Laney, thank you for the good advice. I will do that. That's good advice. Did you see that 42 Democrats voted to renew FISA? Yes, I know. Why do we don't even need it anymore? Like all of the Cold War shit should be dismantled. Like all of the Cold War shit. Honestly, the Pentagon should be closed. The United States of America should close the Pentagon. I'm not saying we shouldn't have any military at all. But the United States of America should probably get 80% of the military cut. We should have an Atlantic carrier fleet and a Pacific carrier fleet, and that's about it. And it should be out of San Diego and out of Norfolk, and that's it. There should not be any American bases that are outside of the North American continent.
And thanks for joining us for this News Center Maine special report. I'm Brian Yacono. Just this morning, Governor Janet Mills announcing she is suspending her campaign for U.S. Senate, citing now financial reasons. As you can see right here, Graham Plattner is live in Augusta addressing this developing news. We want to go to that live.
And her lifelong career serving Maynard as Attorney General, as District Attorney, and in the legislature. We both got into this race because we knew how critical it is to defeat Susan Collins. And her decision today reflects a commitment to that project. I look forward to working closely with her between now and November to do just that, defeat Susan Collins and turn this seat blue again. The race has never been about me or really about one person. It's about a movement of working Mainers who are fed up with being robbed by billionaires and the politicians who own them. We are now taking back our power. That is what this campaign is. We will defeat Susan Collins. We will go to Washington and we will start tearing down the system that for too long has forgotten and written off the people who make Maine and this country what it is. People have said this campaign came out of nowhere, but those people don't know Maine. This movement came out of a lot of somewheres, from working waterfronts that have worked far too long only to be pushed to the brink, from towns where the closest hospital is now hours away, for workers who pay more in taxes than billionaires, for loggers who are just one mill closure away from bankruptcy, and for young people who want a home to call their own, and for seniors who are ready to demand the dignity that they deserve. For decades, this system has taken, piece by piece, store by store, hospital by hospital, shore by shore, town by town. They have taken from us. And they took so much that they began to think that we didn't exist at all. But they don't know Maine. They don't know the power that we have here. And we are taking back what is ours. It is my absolute honor to be joined here today by all of the legislators who have served this state faithfully, who have stood up to those in power, who have stood up to the interests of corporations, stood up to the interests of business over people. Everyone who's come here today to endorse me, it is an absolute honor to have you here. I very much recognize that the project that we are engaged in, this is just a continuation of work that has happened for a very, very long time. And so to everyone who's here, I really want to say thank you very much. And thank you for all your work all of these years, building the foundation that we all get to build on now, to build a state and to build a country that represents the people who build it. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want you all to take credit for this. Like, there was a lot of people, I don't know, whoever the CIA agent or the FBI agent who is in charge of counter left propaganda deserves a raise. The way they managed to psyop the dumbest ultras on the planet to try to distance themselves from Graham Plattner was honestly incredible. It was impressive to witness. And I will say, Graham Plattner, the tattoo, bro, what are you doing? You fucking idiot. But take credit for this. We beat Janet Mills. And the reason why I need you to take credit for this is Janet Mills is a currently serving governor of a state. And she got fucking owned. She got beaten so badly she couldn't even make it to the primary. So take credit, laugh, celebrate. This is awesome. And I was right. I was right to go back into the Plattner camp as quickly as I did. We are going to win. And now he just has to beat this dynamo.
Tell me your reaction to the Mills news.
I'm sure this was a very difficult decision for Governor Mills, and I wish her well. She has devoted her life to public service in the state of Maine in many different capacities. She has served the people of our state, and I'm sure this was a hard decision.
Will Plattner be easier to beat in your view?
I'm not going to get into the November election at this point. This is the governor's day, and I think the focus should be on her and her wanting to give her message to the people of Maine.
A lot of Democrats believe that he has the energy on the left. Does he bring a lot more energy than she would have as a general election candidate?
I'm not going to get into playing pundit in this race. This is the governor's decision. I'm sure it was very difficult. She spent decades in public service. She served as a district attorney, as the attorney general, and as a two-term governor of the state of Maine. We have worked well together in the past, and I'm sure we'll continue to work together for the remainder of her time in office.
What's your strategy going forward? Thank you.
Do you think Schumer misled the electorate in Maine?
Look at how sad they are. Look at how sad the Republicans are when a centrist loses. If Graham Plattner dropped out, she would be coming out here and going, this is why the radical anti-Semitic left can never win no matter what. That's why the Democrats really should nominate more people like Janet Mills. I'm so scared. We're shaking in our boots over fear of centrism. That's what they would do, because they understand that centrist politics has no support. Absolutely fucking owned. And you utterly love to see it. And the thing is, Janet Mills dropping out, you know, guys.
Okay, we have some breaking news we want to share for you. I'm going to read this to you from Governor Mills's Instagram account, Janet Mills for Maine. Governor Mills just posting, I step back from campaigning with unending love, admiration, and hope for Maine people, people whose hearts are filled with love and whose integrity and humility is surpassed only by their kindness, generosity, and compassion. To the people of Maine, I love you, and I will continue to fight relentlessly for you as your governor. For the next 8 months, I will continue working hard for you, standing up for what is right, defending the Constitution, and doing what I can to preserve our democracy. And as always, while I am suspending active campaigning, I look forward to seeing you at a Rennie's, at a Hearts of Pine game, or maybe even on a trout pond in Western Maine, as Governor Mills is suspending her run for Senate, where she was going to be opposing Graham PLATNER.
Absolutely fucking destroyed. Absolutely fucking destroyed. And what more can you even say? The centrist Democratic Party is in free fall. Would this be happening, by the way, if Kamala Harris had won? By the way, if Kamala Harris had won, and I'm going to say it, she would have been campaigning with Janet Mills. She would have endorsed Janet Mills. Janet Mills would have probably been the nominee, and Janet Mills would have probably lost horribly to Susan Collins. You know, we talk a lot about the things that would be better if Kamala Harris had won, but if Kamala Harris had won, that's the reality. The Republicans will be looking to increase their lead in the Senate to 56 senators. There would probably be no way out for Democrats to have power had Kamala Harris won. And like, that is something that a lot of people don't want to reckon. They just want to go like, well, what if the president was Kamala Harris and everything else was the same? But that's not how it works. That's not how anything works. People tend to vote in the midterms as a referendum on the president. And I can tell you right now that Kamala Harris, she's not a good politician. She's not a good campaigner, and she was not a good leader. And she would have been a disastrous president for the Democratic Party. Yes, and she would have probably bowed down to a lot of what the Republicans are doing in Congress. They would have gotten her signature on a lot of really bad bills. So personally, and it's the same thing with Zoran Mamdani, by the way. Kamala Harris would have campaigned with Andrew Cuomo. She would have endorsed Andrew Cuomo. There would be no Zoran mirror if Kamala Harris won. There is no resurgence of the left if Kamala Harris won. Now, I say that because I need you guys to be adults, right? Like, which is when we make those decisions. And how do I know that? Because that's what happened when Joe Biden won in 2020. When Joe Biden won, the DSA fell off a cliff. DSA's membership, the moment Joe Biden was sworn into office, was the peak of DSA membership, and it started declining. And the left was dying out. It was slowly being bled out. We lost Jamal Bowman. We lost Cori Bush. We had no ability to campaign for anything because everybody says, well, Joe Biden would just veto it. There's no hope of getting Medicare for all. So what are you going to do? Campaign on something has no chance of winning for half a decade at least? But after Kamala Harris lost that election, Zoran Mamdani launched his campaign on October of 23. And you could see what happened. The left exploded. And by the way, it's got up to approximately here now. So it's got up another 40% from where this chart ended. Zoran Mamdani launched his campaign and the left started to skyrocket. In New York, which is the red bar, but also nationwide. It's now higher than ever before. So yeah, there's a lot of downsides to Kamala Harris losing, but there was one upside, which is leadership of the Democratic Party is in doubt. And that means the left has the chance to grab hold of it. Do you see how DSA was rising with Bernie Sanders' presidential campaign and the hope we might seize power? But once it became clear that it was Joe Biden's Democrats, the left became irrelevant. And they spent their time trying to purge us, embarrass us, humiliate us, distance themselves from us. That was the entire campaign of that was Joe Biden's presidency. And it started pretty early. When they wouldn't try to go. They did try to pass Joe Biden's agenda, Build Back Better. They split it off, and only progressives were arguing in favor of Biden's own fucking agenda. And this is the reality of the left, right? Is if we are competing for state power, we can grow. And that's when people become socialists. And once you become a socialist, you start identifying with socialism. And say what you will, things did drop off. But notice how they were still higher than they were before the presidential primary. Before Bernie Sanders' race, things were still higher. It's something to consider, is that if we are going to grow our movement, that's why I participate and consider electoral politics to be important, because I've seen it. And so with Graham Plattner's victory, he was a Michael Brooks fan. Graham Plattner is a Michael Brooks fan. Graham Plattner, rest in power, Michael Brooks. He was a huge part of my politics moving further left and revolutionary. I'm feeling a serious sense of loss right now. I'm not even sure what to say. I'm just so thankful for his intellect and his knowledge. We are stronger because of him, but we have lost something with his passing. And he posted that in the Socialist Rifle Association subreddit. So I think Graham Plattner might be somebody that is, if not one of us, because of the political realities of Maine, he is sympathetic to us, which is what I want in power. I thought SRA were all feds, bro. You gotta grow up, bro. You gotta grow up, bro. Chatters think reverse Fetterman probably more to the left than we think. Yes, exactly. He's probably more to the left than we think. But also, you should understand that being a senator is going to put him into a lot of pressure to conform more to the right, which is not based on his morality. It's based on the structure of politics in America. And if we want that to change, we have to have so many lefties getting elected that people like Graham Plattner feel like they should be leaning left. That's what people mistake about somebody like AOC or Bernie Sanders or whoever else. You want to make AOC go further to the left? Send more Zohran Mamdanis out there. Send in more Oliver Larkins. Send in more people like that, Claire Valdez's. And they're going to feel more pressure to go to the left. They feel pressure to go to the right because structurally they're alone. He had his reverse Fetterman when he took mushrooms and watched MR for the first time. So Graham Plattner has won. And he won. Why did he win? It's important to understand why he won. He won in spite of himself. He won because of his policies, which was Medicare for all, no more wars, peace with China, unionization, taxing the rich. He will be probably the second most left-wing senator, depending upon how you look at it. On Israel, he'll be the most left-wing. What does the redistricting do to Oliver Larkin? It makes his district suck. But again, we're still kind of figuring out what's going on in Florida. I'll let you know when there's more to say. Oh my fucking God. An hour and a half? I can't. That's too long.
Has there been any connection, Graham? Have they, look, the Democratic establishment has certainly put their Kalshi money and their Polymarket money on Janet Mills. And that, have you felt any sense of any curiosity? Has there been any, hey, Graham, I'm a more establishment guy. You seem to be resonating. What do you think is going on? Or do they view you again through the prism of insurgent? This insurgent must be stopped.
As of late, past few months, there's been a lot more reach out from like individual people, kind of in the like senators. Honestly, I think there are a lot of senators now. There are a bunch of senators like Bernie, Elizabeth Warren, Chris Van Hollen, that whole crew. Martin Heinrich in New Mexico. Who like they reached out early on and have been big supporters really the whole time.
They felt a fellow progressive who they thought, okay, I understand where this fella's coming from.
Totally. So that's been going on since the beginning. Past couple months though, there has been more reach out from, I would say, more kind of like establishment folks. However, and this is the important part, not from the DSCC, not from the DNC, nobody in the places of power remains interested.
But they're lost, dude. It's
so bad.
They're lost.
And the thing that bothers me the most isn't I'm not asking for you to be my friend. But you should be curious because I'm pulling 40 points ahead.
Right.
At least just reach out and be like, hey, what are you actually? Because they've never spoken. Ever. I've never gotten a phone call. No one's ever reached out. I've never talked to anybody in leadership. No one's ever been interested in which is kind of baffling.
I think it's because they only know two stories. The two stories are this: you're either a moderate Democrat or you're a left-wing firebrand. And so what they're saying is, oh, sure, the left-wing firebrand, that does well in the primary, but that'll never travel. There is that idea that, well, electability, and there's something crazy about this, as though you are the equivalent of a you're the Democratic equivalent of a MAGA loyalist who has come out with wildly controversial positions. And then you talk to you for 5 minutes, you go, oh no, this is based in historical precedent. It has a very literate and literary foundation to it. It has a foundation of lived experience. Like, they should be, again, viewing this as a Rosetta Stone that can help them translate. And here's the trick. And maybe this is what we can kind of talk about. And I'm cognizant of your time. And because
it's okay.
of your lived experience, your rural internet connection.
That's the issue.
Here's the thing. Why is that? Why are you laughing? Like, legitimately, I think one of the things that I don't like about people like Jon Stewart and why he always rubbed me the wrong way from the very beginning is, why are you laughing over something that should piss you off? Like, in the 30s, FDR didn't look at America and go, you know, the rural electricity is pretty shit. You know, rural electricity is pretty shit. Am I right? No, he said every American has a right to electricity. We're going to electrify this whole fucking country because that's the technology of the future. And they fucking did it. And how did they do it? Well, the first thing is they set up a government-owned company called the Tennessee Valley Authority, which to this day still exists. And it has some of the lowest electricity rates and the highest uptime of any electrical utility in the country. And it serves 9 states. Government-owned company set up by FDR. They didn't go like, well, I guess rural electricity, am I right? They said, no, everyone has a right to quality electricity strung right to their fucking door. And they spent the money and they did it. America, we need ambition like that again. Everybody should have 5 gigabit fiber. Every single American should have 5 gigabit fiber. 5,000 megabits up and down. And by the way, you're saying no jokes. What's the joke? What's the setup? What's the punchline? What's the joke? Giggling over American decay is not funny.
Actually,
that is the issue. How do you translate that lived experience? You talked about it a little bit earlier, you know, being on the planning board and understanding that, oh, sometimes the wording and the intention, you know, had unforeseen consequences and those kinds of things. How do we translate those experiences to create that new deal for a more modern America where we do get that value, where we do change the incentives of government, the way that that money is spent? How do we make that transition?
This is honestly the hardest question to answer. And my answer is going to be insufficient. I'll just tell you that right off the bat. The answer to it is that we need to build political power through getting people like me into the U.S. Senate, into Congress, and we also need to do it while building organizational power outside of the system. There has never been a moment in American history where we've gotten good things just because the institutions or people in power decided to do it. They needed to be pressed. I mean, this is honestly why this country has killed the labor movement. We did it on purpose. We did it because the labor movement is a foundation of power that can
This is why Graham Plattner is so important, is because he has a Michael Brooks education. This is something that I would say. And then he's also somebody who says, hey, we ought to pass policies to fix that. That is somebody on the left who's actually talking about structural power. And this is, I mean, honest to God, I think that the people that are anti-Plattner are either like, I don't know what's wrong with them. Honestly, I don't know what the fuck's wrong with these people. Like, it is weird to me. It's honestly weird to me. It's creepy.
Actually, push back against the system. We need to. So, on our campaign, this is above all else, this is an organizing project, because I firmly believe that while me getting elected to the U.S. Senate, that's a big part of it, but that needs to be in tandem with a fully organized, broad-based coalition here in the state of Maine that can put pressure on, frankly, other members of our delegation if need be, because it's not going to be enough to just rely on the systems. But the big thing is that it's that building that kind of outside power. That's also how we're going to identify more people like me and then have the resources to get them elected. Because the biggest issue right now is that, I mean, I think that you probably saw there was an article recently about how like Majority Democrats, which is this kind of like PAC group, has been essentially curating with a lot of money these candidates to push forward, and it's all built around this idea that we're doing the pro-corporate, pro-business moderate types. We need to build the opposite of that. We need to build the infrastructure. So like for me, the only reason this ever happened is because on day one, people who could shoot a launch video, who could help with small dollar fundraising, and who could get my name in the papers, those three things, those were assets that I had access to because some, frankly, labor unions had pitched in some support for the project to make that happen. We got to find other people from the normal world like me, and they're going to look different, they're going to sound different, they're going to be from different communities, and that's all what it's supposed to be. But it's a matter of infrastructure, because if we don't have that infrastructure to give them that early support, then, like, if I woke up one day and said, I want to be a U.S. Senator, I would have walked out of the boat launch. I would have told that to the guys that I fish next to. We all would have laughed about it over coffee, and then we all would have moved on with our lives, right? It just would not. There's no way that it would have materialized. And so, to turn all of this stuff into reality through policy, frankly, we need to build the political power to make it happen. That's why it's a kind of an insufficient question, because it's not actually about or it's an insufficient answer. Because what we have to do first before doing any of that is seize political power. And to do that, we're going to have to create the infrastructure to get normal people into places of power, which is hard when all of the money is, like you mentioned, I mean, yesterday, Alex Karp and the CEO of Blackstone.
That's Palantir and Blackstone, for those following at home.
Palantir and Blackstone unleashed $2 million of negative ads against me yesterday.
Just out of curiosity, what does Palantir have against you?
Well, I have active
because he's against all the policies. He wants to stop Palantir from taking over. The fact that question is I mean, like, I think I'm gonna give Jon Stewart the benefit of the doubt and assume that he's just asking that in order to set up Graham so that Graham can answer the question. But the answer to that is Graham Plattner, like, Palantir wants a fascist state. They're anti-democratic, and they want to assert fascist supremacy. And they're like, well, listen, we can't have a democracy because the democracy is going to interfere with our power, and we need more power to stop China.
We said that I think that companies that steal everyone's data should be broken up and destroyed. So, it's...
so they're in the pro-steal everyone's data camp. And so that...
Fair play to them. But
Graham, you're talking about building this political movement and the power. And I can tell you, at least from my experience of talking to people, the thirst is out there. And you see from these sort of there is a general undercurrent of energy for something different. I almost think there's a kind of a funny chicken and the egg thing here, in that, to get more people like you and to get more infrastructure, we also need more specificity. We need the outline of that New Deal. People, I think, need to know what they're signing up for. Yeah. And right now, they don't have a sense that they're signing up for anything different. They might be signing up for different people, and they might be like, well, that person is pro-choice, so I'm assuming there's going to be more. But they don't know economically the specifics. What do you mean by we all need health care? Like, what is that?
And that's the reality, is like a lot. That is what we call the smokestack voter. I've been talking about this. Oh my God. If you go to my first stream, Jesus Christ, it's so incredible that here we are 7 years fucking later in my first stream, my very first stream, I explained all of this. My very, 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 very first stream, I explained all of this. Graham Plattner, where I talk about how the vast majority of people are left-wing economically, but there is a group of people that are left-wing economically. Like the largest groups are this: left-wing economically, left-wing socially. That's the largest group of voters. The second largest group of voters is right-wing economically and right-wing socially. The third biggest group of voters is left-wing economically and right-wing socially. And that is the true swing vote. That is the true swing vote. And when I say right-wing socially, I mean like skeptical of immigration. Maybe they're like believe some religious shit. Maybe they're anti-abortion. You know, they might be skeptical of something like trans rights. But economically, those people are fucking communist. And the group that doesn't exist, there are literally only 1% or 2% of voters exist in this category, which is right-wing economically and left-wing socially. The libertarian does not exist. About like 20% of people are right-wing economic, or excuse me, right-wing socially, left-wing economically. I call those smokestack voters. They used to vote Democrat, but now they split mostly Republican. That's what Trump did. They voted for Obama. But Trump made a lot of gains with those people. I've been talking about that since literally day one on this stream, which is crazy. My statement on Governor Mills' decision. Graham Plattner's statement on Janet Mills suspending her campaign for U.S. Senate. Janet Mills has dedicated her career to this beautiful state. We are all eternally grateful to her service in Maine as governor, attorney general, district attorney, and in the legislature. He just beat someone's ass who held every single major statewide position, who's been in politics for a quadrillion years, and he smoked her ass. We both got into this race because we knew how critical defeating Susan Collins is, and her decision today reflects that commitment. Oh my God, this is small text. Let me zoom in so that all of you can read too. Can you guys read this now? Okay. I look forward to working with her between now and November to do just that. This race has never been about me or about any one person. It's about a movement of working Mainers who are fed up with being robbed by billionaires and the politicians they own, and who are taking back their power. We will defeat Susan Collins. We will go to Washington, and we will start tearing down the system that for far too long has forgotten and written off the people who make Maine and this country what it is. People have said this campaign came out of nowhere. They don't know Maine. This movement came out of a whole lot of somewheres. From lobstermen who worked too hard for too long, only to be pushed to the brink. From towns where the closest hospital is hours away. Workers who pay more in taxes than billionaires. Bloggers who are a mill closure away from bankruptcy, and young people who want to own a home to call their own. Seniors ready to demand the dignity they deserve. For decades, they have been taken piece by piece, store by store, hospital by hospital, shore by shore. They have taken. They took so much, they began to think we didn't exist at all. They don't know Maine. They don't know the power we have here. We're taking back what's ours. I don't know about you, chat, but that is without a doubt that is a dog whistly ass post. That is a dog whistly ass post. He didn't go in there and be like, we're gonna work with her across the aisle to make sure that the businesses are blah blah blah. It is, we're going after the billionaires. We're gonna tear down the system. We're taking back what's ours. Sounds like nativist rhetoric. Yeah, so true. It's okay to think Plattner is the best option and get him elected, but it's dishonest to ignore material harm he has done repeatedly to the people in the Middle East. It's classic Islamophobia to care less about what happens to Arabs and Muslims as a consequence of American soldiers' actions. Actually, I would push back on that, and I would say, I think that posturing against Graham Plattner is actually doing what you just accused him of doing, which is not caring about Muslims and Arabs. Because Graham Plattner is against continuing America's wars, and Janet Mills is in favor of it. So by working against Graham Plattner, if you understand the way politics works, is there is a politician that wins, and the policies that politician supports equals what happens. By attacking Graham Plattner and spending your time attacking Graham Plattner and trying to drive down enthusiasm for him, you're actually working to kill more Muslims and Arabs. You're actually working to do more damage to Persians and Iranians. You're doing more damage to the world by working against Graham Plattner, because he's the only candidate that is saying, hey, we should bring the troops home and stop attacking Muslims. So what you're doing constructively is you're saying what are you trying to do? What is like the mechanism of you helping Arabs and Muslims? You're going to punish Graham Plattner individually, like his career is going to be bad. That's going to help Muslims and Arabs. Defending Zionism, you are, by helping defend Zionist politicians who are doing a genocide and ethnic cleansing and invading Lebanon as we speak, you are doing what? You're helping Arabs how? Graham Plattner was just a guy, and he went into the military as a kid, and he bought into the ideology of American exceptionalism, like the majority of Americans did. He came out of it by saying it was all wrong and that the wars were a mistake. And not only that he's opposing the wars we're currently in, which is what makes him different than other politicians. And I think one of the problems with being a liberal like you are is that you are focused on individuation and an individual punishment. Like, you think that Graham Plattner needs to be individually punished. You're not thinking collectively. You're not thinking structurally. You're not thinking of the consequences of your actions. You're trying to posture, I am the most leftist. Everybody look at me, 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 me. My brand is most leftist guy. And I'm showing you how left I am by criticizing Graham Plattner's biography, no matter what the social consequences are of what I'm doing, right? I'm going to help Zionism by posturing as the most left by condemning Graham Plattner as a veteran. What you are effectively doing as a liberal, which is what you are, is I'm going to condemn him personally. So my personal brand goes well. I look a certain way, and I personally profit a certain way, and fuck the consequences. And it is honestly what is wrong with the left in America and worldwide. Why the left in general is weak is because of the mentality like that. And it is kind of developed by social media. The incentives odds of social media is Graham Plattner is going viral. I need to be saying something about Graham Plattner that's going to get people to reply to me. That is the logic of social media. So how do you get people to reply to you about Graham Plattner, who's going viral? Why is Graham Plattner going viral? Because he's winning an election on an anti-Zionist platform in a swing state. And that's exciting to a lot of people that are anti-Zionist. So how do you get part of that? Well, if you just join the chorus of people that are excited and supportive, well, then you're just a face of the crowd. But if you distinguish yourself as an individual and you shit on Graham Plattner and you say extreme things, well, then a lot of people are going to be attracted to debunking that, and you're going to get a lot more clickety clicks, a lot more likety likes, and a lot more algorithmic boost, and people are going to be trapped in these endless debates. That's what you are. You are a manipulated algorithmic parasite, and that's what's happened to you. Now, maybe what I'm saying is going to like click in your brain, and you're going to take it. I have a feeling that your ego is not going to let that happen. I have a feeling that you're going to be like, no, actually, Mike is the bad guy. I have a feeling that you're not going to be able to have the maturity and to reflect on the consequences of what you're saying happen. And by the way, I have never said what Graham Plattner as a veteran is an asset necessary or a good thing that he is a veteran, or it's a good thing that he is like that what he did in the Middle East, or that it was justified. You don't hear me saying that. What you hear me saying is this is the reality of politics, which is politicians are individuals and they have flaws. And they're going to have things about them you don't like. The question is, what is the policies that they are supporting? What are they doing with their power? What is Graham Plattner arguing in favor of? Which is anti-Zionism, anti-empire, pro-helping the poor in this country, containing the billionaire class. And you know, the people that you support are really just algorithmic parasites. They are people who don't live in America, who don't live in the Middle East, who don't live in Gaza, who don't suffer the consequence, don't live in Iran, are not suffering the consequences of Janet Mills winning, right? Which it would be more support for Zionism, right? More support for empire. You don't live in those consequences. So it's easy for you to use this to distinguish yourself as some sort of pure form of leftist. And that is disgusting and distasteful and bad. And that's the reality of it. And I'm not going to shy away from the truth. That's the truth of the matter. Now, it would be easier for me to be like, Graham Plattner, he's a white man and he's a veteran and that he's a war criminal and he's just the worst and ew, I don't care about this. And it's like, this guy is saying what we want him to say. And I am not a person that's doing this because I want to make money. Like, I'm doing this because I want my politics to happen. And I need my viewers to be intelligent. I'm going to use what I can with the thousands of people that listen to me, which in the grand scheme of things is not that many. I want my people to be the smartest political operators in the entire country. I want the 5,000 people that watch me are the ones that are the most intelligent and the most principled, but also pragmatic in how they act. I want them to think collectively. I want them to have principles and enact those principles. I don't support the people you're talking about. You're putting words in my mouth. I'm from South Lebanon. My family has been martyred and fled their homes. I'm just making a simple point that support to acknowledge the truth and say why you would vote for him always as opposed to calling people dishonest and crazy. Okay, listen, I can't verify who you claim to be, so I just don't. It doesn't matter for the purposes of my chat. You can claim to be all sorts of things in bad faith, and honestly, I don't give a shit what you claim to have been. Like, honestly, it doesn't fit. It doesn't fit with the way you're moving. Like, I'll be completely honest. Now, maybe it is true. Maybe that is true, but honestly, like, people could say whatever the fuck they want in the chat. Like, that's not a verification. In fact, I kind of want to ban you. Honestly, I kind of want to ban you because you didn't. If you want to verify that stuff privately with me first, that would be one thing. But to just throw it in the chat to try to claim that actually, in fact, I don't know, man. It kind of stinks like Fed to me. That stinks like Fed to me, if I'm being completely honest with you. Like, because that's exactly the type of thing someone would say in order to try to create some sort of like bubble shield for their bad faith shit. Yeah, guys, I'm from South Lebanon, and I want you to vote for Janet Mills so she can pour billions of dollars more into Israel. That doesn't sound to me like, that sounds to me like, It seems a little suspicious. And like, ultimately, one of the other things is like, you are not an actor in politics. Like, it's somebody like Bad and Panada is a perfect example of what I was talking about. Like, that guy is truly a nihilistic parasite. A nihilistic parasite who, when Bernie Sanders was popping off of the algorithm, was going, you need to vote Bernie Sanders. You need to vote Bernie Sanders because he'll reign in America's imperialism. Like, when that was popping off of the algorithm, that's what he was saying, right? But now that the algorithm has the space for kind of like nihilistic morons, now he's doing that, right? Now he's moving in a different direction. As a main voter, that's why I've been a Platter supporter, even though when you said you couldn't support him. I remember being at the AFL-CIO convention. Oh no, by the way, I was completely blown away by the tattoo. I think was absolutely insane. And if he hadn't covered it up and he hadn't gone out of his way to be like, I was a dumb piece of shit, I would have changed my mind, right? But the guy didn't change his policies. In fact, from pressure from the left to distance themselves from him, he stayed the course, which is exactly what we need, by the way. We need people that are left-wing, that if they get yelled at online from the left, are not going to tack right like John Fetterman did. That's what happened with John Fetterman, by the way. He got yelled at people on the left, so he tacked right, and he kept tacking right. Saying distinctly South Lebanon as Lebanese instead of Lebanon is a red flag. Yeah, the Zionists like to make that distinction of South Lebanon because they're trying to invade and ethnically cleanse it. I don't believe you. I actually just don't believe you. Also, it's time to investigate that chatter. Where's that chatter from? I mean, listen, it's gonna come across as harsh, guys. But I need to see more. This is you have to understand these spaces in these spaces used to be places where people would be mostly good faith, but now with Hasan Piker now being like possibly, you know, condemned in the United States Congress, let's not be babies and think that everyone here is who they say they are. You know what I mean? Like, we need to recognize that we are in a different world now. That when people see me at the top of Twitch talking about how it's a good thing that a Zionist was defeated, and then they come in here and they try to stoke down that flame, you have to understand that that is probably an agent. Like, there's more likely than not an agent. If it's a first-time chatter who's coming in here to say this type of shit, like that's probably an agent. It's not an authentic person. Mike, it's not worth it, the debating of one specific chatter. So true. So true. Absolutely disgusting. And also, and I'm going to say something a little bit radical that people are going to not like. I don't give a shit if somebody claims to be, you know, if they're living in the West and they're living in the West and they're like telling you like, oh man, we got to help Janet Mills defeat that Zionist. I'm sorry, we got to defeat the imperialist Graham Plattner for Janet Mills. I don't care what their identity is. They are somebody who can't analyze. Like, you are allowed to be part of an identity and get things wrong. I just did an episode on Candace Owens, okay, for my podcast. You can be a member of an oppressed identity and serve as a agent of the oppressive status quo. It doesn't mean that you're suddenly right. I don't buy into epistemic. I don't believe in viewpoint epistemology. I don't care what your identity is. I want your arguments and your rationale. And you can call me a white whatever the fuck. And if you can not like that all you like, I don't give a shit. All right, let's watch Hasan Piker. Congress is trying to denounce Hasan Piker. Fucking disgusting shit. Actually, I fucking hate people like Bad and Panada and the brainworms of people like Bad and Panada and Cinemarxism have sick, and the Wrecker, like internet Maoist brainworm. Actually, like, I don't punch left, but I don't even really consider those anarchist types to be on my left. Anarchists are not really left wing. They're just kind of they're just liberals. And like, you know, I'm sorry, I'm getting into my, you know, anarchism will never be tolerated arc. My anti-anarchism arc is starting to ramp up even more. Let's just use this title. This is actually funny as fuck. The vibes are always miserable whenever those anarchists are around. They're always tripping us up. They're always like making the vibes miserable. They're always like trying to stop us from like getting hyped or like pushing for some goal. It's always like some distraction, some wasted time, some sort of like vibe kill. Never, ever, ever something positive. Never, ever something good. It's always some vibe kill. Every fucking time.
This is where we're at in the United States of America. You could spend an entire career combating anti-Semitism on the internet, and as long as you're an avowed anti-Zionist, it doesn't fucking matter, okay? They will literally say, you're a bigger threat. I've talked to many people behind the scenes, okay, congresspersons, about when I saw this, and universally, their assessment
record just means black people criticizing. That's okay. I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say it very straight up. Anytime somebody says you can't call anybody's arguments a thing because of their identity, that person is actually doing damage to the discourse, because that's ridiculous. Are you going to say I can't criticize Candace Owens because she's a black woman? Like, what are you saying? That's agent talk. And you need to get your shit together. Like, what the fuck are you saying? What are you saying? What are you saying? That's woke point 10. That is Hillary Clinton voter shit. Like, what are you doing? What are you saying? What the fuck are you saying? I'm not going to ban you because I'm just going to time you out. But like, Gremlo and Cinemarxism are white men. Gremlo's family are like KKK members. Like, what are you saying? Like, what do you mean that they're going to call other people white as a reason to discredit them? If you want to crash out at anarchists, watch this. The most irrelevant political philosophy of all time.
Was obviously that this is ridiculous, right? And it's being done for donors. It's being done to fundraise. It's being done because I have some high profile enemies that are aggressively pursuing this deplatforming initiative, and they're willing to pay for it, right? I'm saying it.
Like by the way, you should just say Wrecker if somebody's making a legitimate argument that is contained and it's a syllogism. The premises lead to a conclusion, and there's a solid criticism, and it's talking about a blind spot. All that is completely legitimate. I'm not saying that's not legitimate. What's not legitimate is I am this identity, therefore you have to accept what I'm saying. And if you criticize me as a wrecker, that's not allowed. That's not how we do this. That's not how we do these things. Okay. You're not allowed to leverage identity in order to try to get a point accepted that is not logically following from the premises that you're offering. That is just kind of a weird social game that you're playing to try to trap, because I care deeply about being anti-racist. You can't trap me just because I'm an anti-racist into accepting something purely because somebody advanced it from a marginalized identity. That's just not a legitimate way of doing this. That's just not. And if you don't accept that, if you want to live in a world where just like anybody of marginalized identity gets what they said to be accepted without pushback, you're going to live in a society of Candace Owens. You're going to be living in a society of Nick Fuentes. You're going to be living in a society of tokenized servants of the status quo. And that's not what I'm going to accept. I don't accept that. You know, like what are we doing here?
After 2 months of Donald Trump illegally waging a war of choice against Iran, destabilizing the energy markets all around the world, ruining previous allegiances that this country had with other countries in the Asia Pacific region, for example. There's supposed to be
I do think that like one of the things that I like about the Graham Plattner campaign in particular is you can kind of sort people that love the feeling of feeling self-righteous, as opposed to people that are attracted to the feeling of solidarity and victory, right? Which are very different feelings, right? I'm not gonna lie, I like to feel self-righteous occasionally myself too. I like feeling like I'm the good guy, or I've got a better view. But the thing about the Graham Plattner stuff is it does help me kind of like, you can kind of see the people that can't see the forest for the trees, right? Like, I think for like 6 months now, we have all done these performative like condemnations of, you know, his time as a veteran or the tattoo and all this other stuff. And it's like, Everybody knows about that. Everybody's condemned it. He covered the tattoo up. Like, it's over. It doesn't have any more juice, right? Now the question is, what are we trying to accomplish here? But if you want to take the conversation back to something that we've already talked about for literal months at this point, like, you're more addicted to the feeling of separation and identity, of self-identity and ego assuagement than you are about a political good. And so I don't know what to say, man. Like, you're supposed to be the radical prison abolitionists. This is what prison abolition looks like. Guys who did evil shit walking around because they've changed. That's what it looks like. I mean, we have people in here who like, somebody like Sid of Marxism doesn't think child molesters should go to prison, right? So you're telling me that we should let the child molesters walk around scot-free because they apologized, but you want me to, like, Graham Plattner is campaigning hard for anti-Zionist positions, and you want me to condemn him for 9 fucking straight months and do this kind of, like, distancing, this performative distancing to help a Zionist? I mean, that's just the way it is, right? What about his policies for strengthening the shipbuilding capacity? Yeah, I already addressed that like many months ago, but we can look at that real quick. Again, I don't think this is going to change your mind because it doesn't seem that your mind is changeable, but I'll try. Hold on. When I posted this, it might be a while back. Oh, here it is.
Our position towards China should be one of cooperation instead of one of opposition. I mean, in many ways, because that's what it is already. We just pretend that it isn't. I mean, one, I think we pretend that because it's good for the military-industrial complex. Politically, for some people, I think they want to see a continued multipolar world in which we have to always be in some form of aggressive, almost war posture, much like we had against the Soviet Union, which I just see as absurd because China, we rely on many of the cheap goods China builds. China relies on us to buy them. We have a very integrated economy, which we pretend isn't happening.
Yeah.
Our position towards China should be one of...
Oh, hold on. I found the stream because he talks about that. It's right around the China thing. Oh my God. Can't search that. You have to search here. I'm showing it to you.
His platform says he wants to close the massive shipbuilding gap. People see this as posturing against China. So I'm curious what he thinks the U.S. position toward China should be.
Oh, I think our position towards China should be one of cooperation instead of one of opposition. I mean, in many ways, because that's what it is already. We just pretend that it isn't. I mean, one, I think we pretend that because it's good for the military-industrial complex. Politically, for some people, I think they want to see a continued multipolar world in which we have to always be in some form of aggressive, almost war posture, much like we had against the Soviet Union, which I just see as absurd because China, we rely on many of the cheap goods China builds. China relies on us to buy them. We have a very integrated economy, which we pretend isn't happening.
Yeah.
I will just say that for shipbuilding, we are a nation with 2 seas on both sides of us. The Navy has always been very important. We have, in living memory, created a Navy that is powerful, but frankly doesn't effectively conduct its day-to-day operations in the most efficient manner. We need smaller ships. We need more frigates and we need more destroyers. And we have ceased doing. I mean, recently, everybody saw the Trump administration wants to build battleships again, which is just, literally absurd.
The Battle of Jutland Straits is going to happen.
That's right.
Again.
We're going back to Jutland. Ships of the line, man.
Yeah.
So for me, it's a matter of, we do need a substantial Navy, I think, but less about the one we have now is built to project an immense amount of force globally. I think realistically, a Navy that would be suiting our needs would be one that would essentially be able to conduct itself almost as like a Coast Guard in more methods. And without losing the capability. I mean, I would love for us to be in a world where I don't think that we require like our carrier fleets, but I don't think we're in that world quite yet. I don't think we're in that world at all, actually.
Yeah.
But I do think that when I talk about expanding the Navy, what I mean is building a lot of smaller ships that are more effective in day-to-day operations and just more efficient. I mean, right now we have Arleigh Burke-class destroyers acting as frigates. They're good. They function well. It's a great ship. It's a great hull, but they have big crews and they're expensive. And they're expensive to maintain, they're expensive to operate, and often they're just out there doing things that a smaller frigate should probably be doing.
Be better at.
It would be much better at.
So basically, there you have it. That's the complete answer, which is he wants our Navy to be more like the Coast Guard, but he acknowledges that we are a seaborne country and we have some ability to defend ourselves. Now, this is about as far left as it gets as a viable American politician. Right? Which is like, hey, let's bring our forces back to a defensive posture, have a Coast Guard, which you need. Every country wants to have that, right? You need to have some ability to defend your shores from being like bullied or like extracted. I don't know what else to say. Like, you can't really have a position that's more to the left than this. Like, I guess you could say, I want to set up the Department of Peace and disarm the entire America to have no defensive capability whatsoever. I mean, I guess you could argue that. I don't think that that is something that people are going to vote for. But saying let's get the Navy down and let's have peace with China, that is the anti-imperialist position. I don't know what else to say. So there you have it. I mean, I don't expect that to change that person's mind because I don't think electoral politics is really their goal. I don't think they want to have American policy changed. I think they want to live in a lifestyle group of people who distance themselves from the mainstream. They want to live in a counterculture, right? They want to live in a commune. They want to hold themselves apart and above mainstream society. They don't want to be with the masses. They don't want to have a conversation with regular people. They see themselves as enlightened and superior, right? And so supporting somebody like Graham Plattner to them is drawing yourself closer to regular people who they consider to be normies. And like, that's ultimately the difference between my politics and somebody who is a lifestylist, right? They're trying to build their own like little personal polycule or whatever, have their 20 most anarchist friends. But that's not like viable for like making the world better. Maybe it's better for making your personal world better. All right, what were we talking about? Oh yeah, Congress is attacking Hasan. This is a very important and hilarious thing. And actually, I think this clip is too long. I'm not watching 50 fucking minutes.
What's up, y'all? So wanted to record a video real quick on the big thing that dropped earlier today. Namely, they are some corporate Democrats, some AIPAC Democrats decided they are going to draft a condemnation of Hasan Piker. So
well, I think in fairness, it's a bipartisan effort.
Oh, it's a bipartisan effort. Okay,
it's
so that makes it.
And Mike Lawler, who's a Republican.
This is, by the way, the exact same day that we learned that the Supreme Court gutted the Voting Rights Act.
Yeah.
That's awesome. This is also at the same time that Trump is still in this war and, you know, going back and forth on what he says on a daily basis, threatening war crimes on a daily basis.
Gas prices are going up so fast right now that the guy that tracks gas prices says his algorithm is broken and he can't keep up with it. So that's happening. Yeah.
So do you have the text of it?
I do.
Yeah, so give everybody a taste of how ridiculous this thing is.
So this is what our elected representatives, these particular elected representatives, are spending their time on. Whereas Hasan Piker, a prominent online streamer, has often used anti-Semitic rhetoric, including expressing support for Hamas, a designated foreign terrorist organization. Whereas in August 2019, during a stream on Twitch, Hasan Piker stated that America deserved 9/11.
By the way, do you guys think that they go out there and make condemnation resolutions often? Do you think did they make a condemnation resolution about what's his face? Who's the KKK Grand Wizard? Fuck, what's his name? David Duke. Did David Duke ever get a congressional resolution condemning him? Maybe they did. I don't know. I'm looking it up. Like, do you think that they do this often? The reason why this is happening is because the Zionists are trying to use everything they can in order to put a bunch of shit on Hasan that doesn't actually mean anything, but sounds important, right? It doesn't actually mean anything, but it sounds like it's a condemnable. They're trying to distance him from normies, because if the normies listen to his actual words, they're going to agree.
Whereas Hasan Piker referred to Orthodox Jews as inbred. Whereas
No, he didn't.
Hasan Piker downplayed sexual violence. This is one that really bothers me the most, actually. Committed by Hamas, a designated foreign terrorist organization, against innocent civilians on October 7, 2023, stating, quote, "It doesn't matter if effing rapes happen on October 7th. Like,
so
that
dishonest.
doesn't change the dynamic for me."
His point was that doesn't mean genocide is okay. Even
Exactly.
If, yeah, that's what he's saying.
And here's the thing is, I mean, the whole thing, and it just proves the point of why it was so important and brave, the work that people like Ryan did in exposing the fact that the limited evidence that there is, the lack of evidence.
Oh, wait. No, I'm wrong. They did condemn David Duke after he got elected as a Republican to office.
Of what was claimed, which is systematic as a weapon of war, rape and sexual violence being used on October 7th. There is not evidence of that. And it's not an accident that they pushed that. And you can see, you know, exactly how they used that to justify genocide. And then they say, no, if you don't accept all of our most maximalist claims, or if you, Hasan has always been careful to say, like, yeah, I don't know, like, it's very possible that that did happen. And what he said in this quote is, even if it did, that doesn't mean that it justifies horrors in response to that, which is just, I mean, that's a very basic moral statement. Anyway, the last one here is...
Well, wait a second. Didn't they have to retract the article? Wasn't there like this huge article?
Yes. So this was Screams Without Words in the New York Times. And
the person who wrote it turned out to be like in the fucking IDF or something like that, right? If I'm trying to remember the details off the top of my head, but there was like this big scandal about how basically compromised the person was who wrote it. That this was literally just like war propaganda, like atrocity propaganda.
They pulled up someone who had like next to no reporting experience, who was, you know, had a background of bias, and I think had been previously in the IDF, if memory serves. But if you look at the details too, they had to retract some significant parts of their claims because it was contradicted by their own prior reporting.
See? Yeah.
It was so flimsy what they offered there that the New York Times, like, main podcast, The Daily, refused to do an episode on it because they thought it was so weak. And then one of the people who was quoted in it retracted their claims. There were, like, it was a mess. But they didn't retract the article. They really should have. It just now has parts of it that were taken out, long editorial notes, etc. So, yeah, and I mean, this has always been this very, it's one of those things where you feel like an asshole for being like, you know, there isn't evidence for this mass rape claim, but you can see now why it was important, because they really did use that as like, this is why. Well,
that's the atrocity propaganda. That is the lie. Like, that is the way that they do this thing, right? They set up a lie, and if you go, did that actually happen? They go, oh my God, you're casting doubt on the victims. And it's like, what victims? Who are they? Who got raped? Like, what are you talking about? Like who was sexually assaulted? Oh my God, they're asking for proof. They won't believe women, right? Like, this is the type of shit that these people are doing. They are intentionally setting up a society where atrocity propaganda, specifically sexual atrocity propaganda, is used to justify mass collective punishment. And that's actually exactly what the Nazis did. And that's exactly what the KKK did. Zionists are using the playbook of the fascist right in history. They did the exact same thing. Most lynchings of black men in the South were based on accusations of sexual crimes. And so the fact that they're doing this, they know it's a lie. They know it creates a certain, first of all, it plays into all sorts of lies about brown people being more violent and more sexually, voraciously attracted to white women, etc. That is the reality. They know what they're doing, and they're doing that locally. And, you know, listen, as I've always said, even whenever you have violence, like American soldiers in World War II raped British women and raped French women and raped Italian women. Like, that is true. The American military committed mass rapes in World War II. But it wasn't a systemic punishment that was ordered by the military, right? But it still occurred. Would you accept the idea that Nazi Germany was then justified because rapes occurred from American service members during World War II? No, that's fucking ridiculous. And American children would not be justified to be mass killed because American service members raped women in Germany or France or wherever else. That is absurd. It doesn't change the dynamic of justification of mass genocide.
It's justified anything Israel does because these people are barbarians, they're monsters, they're animals, they're not really human. That's what they want you to see, is that there's no negotiating with these people. Like, this is what you have to do. So anyway, it was really noteworthy to me that that was in there.
It's also like the fake claim that there were 40 beheaded babies.
Yes,
and
exactly,
that they found
like
babies in ovens. That was just literally lies.
Yes.
Directly from the IDF, they were lying specifically to set the table to start carpet bombing innocent people, starving people to death, and again, to your point, to turn around and say, look, these people are monsters. There's like, we have no choice but to do this.
Yes.
And like everybody who went along with that has the blood of innocent Palestinians on their hands.
Yes.
And that's what these fucking assholes are doing, is they're trying to, like, you know, spread that same sort of atrocity propaganda and make it so like Hasan is untouchable. Somebody made a good point. They were like, the goal here is to make it so that like he gets shunned out of mainstream politics now, because he sort of like was able to sneak into mainstream politics in a way by being interviewed by all these like.
He also made a good point here. Ooh.
A little bit taken out of context, but he says doesn't matter if the happened on October 7th.
When you admit before you do the smear that, well, this one's out of context. His point was that wouldn't justify a genocide.
I don't think that Americans should be genocided because American men have committed millions of rapes. That's just a fact, that American men have gone out and committed millions of rapes. Does that mean that all Americans should be genocided? And that is the reality. Every culture commits nonstop because we live in a misogynistic culture globally where women are treated and abused on a regular. That is a current fact of our life. That's why feminism is so important, because we have to liberate women from the oppression of patriarchy. But you don't liberate women by committing whole-scale genocide and doing collective punishment on the entire people. It's ridiculous.
There's one that he says was a little bit taken out of context, but he says doesn't matter if the
I mean, look, this is just the reality that we end up finding ourselves in, which is on the one hand, we have some of the dumbest pieces of shit in history who are constructively aiding Zionism by attempting to discredit every individual who actually stands up against Zionism. Like, don't you find it odd that these people always end up attacking? They end up attacking Zoran. They end up attacking AOC. They end up attacking Graham Plattner. They end up attacking Abdul El-Sayed in Michigan. They end up attacking everybody who's actually in favor of reigning in Israel. And they have a convenient, individualized justification for each one. Isn't that odd?
Publications and shit.
Yep.
And they're basically trying to like make it so the pod save guys are like, oh, they won't touch Hasan again, and Hasan won't be invited on like the mainstream podcast anymore. That's the goal. That's what they're trying to do here.
Yeah. Well, and let me just read this last one.
Yeah, go ahead.
And then and then we can talk more about that. But the last one is, whereas Hasan Piker has expressed support for Hamas on multiple occasions, including on April 14, 2026, stating Hamas over Israel every single time, and doubling down on claims in multiple media appearances that Hamas is 1,000 times better than Israel.
Okay.
I mean, I see no problem with that.
And also, by the way, he's literally doing math. That's the point, is the math. Where how many people died on October 7th? Let's say 1,000. And how many people died? Let's say minimum 70,000 in Gaza, but I think the actual number is like 200,000. Okay?
Yeah.
But he's doing math. He's doing math. He's saying mathematically the IDF is worse.
Well, and look at all the countries that Israel attacks. I mean,
yeah, they're doing multiple genocides. They're in Lebanon now doing a genocide.
Nation does not they're not in the same plane whatsoever as this, like, you know, this group Hamas and whatever. Anyway, and the worst part of it is just think about Gottheimer in particular. who is one of the foremost defenders of genocide in the country, certainly in the United States Congress. And you are going to lecture us on morals? You're going to condemn Hasan when you are using your power as an elected representative to run cover for and support and arm and fund and back relentlessly a genocide? Like, that is what's so disgusting about this. And I'm so sick of like we're in like week 4 of the Hasan Piker discourse. I keep telling myself like I'm not going to talk about this anymore, but they just keep going. Fox had that stupid graphic that was like all the Democrats that are associated with Hasan Piker, which I would have been very offended if I was him, because it said that Rahm Emanuel was associated with him. It's like, what is this slander? This is outrageous.
It's because he said he would do his show, I think. That's why.
Yeah.
That's why they
and
put
Gavin
him on
Newsom
there.
was in there too. I'd be offended
Because he said he would do his show too.
Yeah.
But okay, so Gottheimer and Lawler, I saw the thing. It said like one of them takes $1 million from AIPAC. One of them took $2 million from AIPAC. Both of them have taken fawning pictures with Benjamin Netanyahu.
Right.
So, like, to your point, Crystal,
yeah,
like, I don't want to hear anything from these people. They can shut the fuck up fucking forever, because they are terrorist supporters. You actually support terrorists, okay? He's not the problem. You're the fucking problem. Look in the mirror. And by the way, for every Democrat that's going to fall in line like a little fucking cuck and support this, fuck you. You're persona non grata, and we should primary the shit out of you.
The problem is, like, the reason why they're doing this type of shit is they're trying to you have to understand the Democratic Party is far more corrupt than you think. And I think this is something that happens with like people like Kyle and Crystal and Sam Cedar, is that all these people, they get so worked up over this because they believe the Democratic Party is better than it actually is. This is what the Democratic Party is. The Democratic Party is Chuck Schumer. The Democratic Party is Jared Moskowitz. The Democratic Party is Josh Gottheimer. The Democratic Party is Hakeem Jeffries. That is the Democratic Party. You focusing on AOC or Summer Lee. AOC and Summer Lee are not the Democratic Party. AOC and Summer Lee are the exception that proves the rule. And like, that's why when people criticize AOC or Summer Lee as like sheepdogging people into the Democratic Party, they have a point. They do have a point, because a lot of people look at AOC or Zoran Mamdani, and that's what they think the Democratic Party represents. That is not what the Democratic Party represents. The Democratic Party if Chuck Schumer could push the red button and kill every member of the Progressive Caucus, he would. Chuck Schumer said his #1 priority is keeping the left pro-Israel, and he means it. Now, I understand that. That's why I am pretty skeptical of the Democratic Party. I'm only participating in this shit of like doing entryism into the Democratic Party because the rest of you haven't caught up yet. And I'm not going to make you guys catch up through force of argument. It doesn't exist. You have to experience the betrayals. You have to experience the backstabbing. You have to experience the treachery of the establishment Democrats yourself. You guys have to have candidates and politicians that you like win by following the rules and then get backstabbed nonetheless. You need to experience that. The only way you're going to change your mind. I wish I could tell you and present the arguments and talk about my own experiences and have people change, but they will not. Sam Cedar, Kyle Kalitsky, Crystal Ball, all these people need to experience them following every rule and being backstabbed nonetheless. It needs to happen. It's unfortunate, but it has to happen. So I'm going to help people like Graham Plattner get elected, or Zoran Mamdani, or AOC, just so you guys can experience it, so that your hatred of the Democratic Party is not something that I persuaded you through argument, but who you intuitively and personally felt. That is necessary. Unfortunately, it is.
You and kick you the fuck out of the party, because you don't represent the base. You actually don't represent the base.
So when you say the base, you're talking about what the vast majority of Democratic primary voters say they want in polling, right? And I agree with you. That is the base. That is the base. But that's not who they see the base as. To them, the Democratic Party's base is the well-heeled donors who donate money to the consultant establishment. That's not you. If you're donating your money through Act Blue, if you're donating your money through an email link or a website, You are not who the base is. The base are the people that are handing paper checks in luxurious ballrooms. Okay? That's the people that are the base of the Democratic Party, to the Democratic Party. You ain't it.
The base is like, what is it now? Like 20% of Democrats are pro-Israel?
I get that Bernie and AOC are sheepdogging into the party, but isn't that better than the alternative? Isn't the idea to have a few mainstream politicians expose as normies to progressive ideas that eventually build up an alternative party? Yes. Yes, absolutely. AOC and Bernie Sanders winning and being popular gets more and more people to identify as left. And then when the betrayal, the true betrayal happens, like happens in the UK, like I'm basically expecting what is happening in America, what already happened in the UK, right? I expect AOC to probably win the primary in 2028. And I expect centrist Democrats to do everything they can to betray her. That's what I'm expecting, the same thing that happened to Jeremy Corbyn to happen to AOC. And what's happening over in the UK is they threw out all the lefties and they're starting their own party, and the mainstream centrist party is falling apart. That's what's happening there. And a new left-wing populist party is growing. But Americans can't look at the UK and see that and go, oh, well, that's going to happen here. They have to have it happen to them too. Everybody thinks they're a fucking special butterfly. They're not able to look across the pond and like figure shit out. So unfortunately, we're going to have to go through it. So it is what it is. Let's go through it. Maybe I'll be wrong. Maybe AOC will just win and all the Democrats will fall in line and we'll get a Green New Deal and it'll be awesome. And the Democratic Party will go like the way of FDR, and all the centrist Democrats will have a revelation and everything will work out fine.
It's something insanely small.
Maybe.
Yeah, insanely
At
small
best.
now. Yeah, because people see the genocide in Gaza. They see them doing mission creep and pogroms in the West Bank. They see them doing a genocide now in Lebanon as well. They see the Netanyahu dog walk Trump into this illegal war against Iran, not to take anything away from Trump himself being a warmonger and a monster. But people see that, and you're just trying to pretend like that's not the case.
Yeah.
And you know what Hasan said in response to this? He said what's that famous saying? I've seen what makes you cheer.
It was like, I look at who's booing and I see what makes you cheer, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I welcome your hatred or something to that effect because I see what makes you cheer. Like, yeah, you support genocide, so good. I'm glad that you fucking AB.
Well, the last
thing
I'll say about this is they tried this playbook with Zoran. Remember, there was a short Zoran, like, do you condemn Hasan Piker moment with Cuomo? Obviously, that didn't work.
No.
They tried it with Abdul Sayed in Michigan.
Now he's leading.
His poll numbers have just gone up.
It went up.
But it's not an accident, especially with.
This is the I welcome their hatred speech that everyone. They don't seem to know what it is, but I will help you. It comes from FDR.
Without a struggle. For 12 years, our nation was afflicted with hear nothing, see nothing, do nothing government.
Oh, I'm so sorry, chat.
The nation looked to that government, but that government looked away.
I accidentally hit a button. I'm so sorry.
9 mocking years with the golden calf and 3 long years of the scourge. 9 crazy years at the ticker and 3 long years in the breadline. Nine mad years.
I'm so sorry, chat. I was trying to fiddle with the 30s fucking audio and it fucking exploded. I'm so sorry.
Years of mirage and 3 long years of despair. And my friends, powerful influences strive today to restore that kind of government with its doctrine that that government is best, which is most indifferent to mankind. For nearly 4 years now, you have had an administration which, instead of twirling its thumbs, has rolled up its sleeves.
Everyone's just, oh, I'm so sorry, chat.
And I can assure you that we will keep our sleeves rolled up. Never before in all our history have these forces been so united against one candidate as they stand today. They are unanimous in their hate for me, and I welcome their hatred. Without a
So basically, when we talk about the unanimous hatred, that is Hasan Piker. He needs to bust that shit out and say that I welcome their hatred. I welcome the I love the fact that the centrist Democrat, the Democratic establishment, and the Republican establishment are united in their hatred of me. I welcome their hatred because they suck shit.
Wanted to record a video real quick on the big thing that dropped earlier today, namely,
why is there much hate for FDR from all sides? Because the libertarians recognized that the only time in America where the left had any influence was during was in two short periods: the war on poverty in the civil rights era of the 60s and the New Deal. And both of those eras were so progressive and so world-changing, it completely reconstructed American society. So the project of the right in America since then has been to insult, degrade, and defame the memory of the New Deal and to create false narratives. And most of what you hear about the New Deal from left-wingers these days actually comes from the Cato Institute and from the Koch brothers, who cooked up a whole bunch of fake woke bullshit to try to defame FDR. Libertarians who want to repeal the Civil Rights Acts try to argue that FDR was bad because of racism, while they want to make racism legal again. They want to go back to pre-FDR laws where Jim Crow was enacted. So it's all propaganda. You're literally buying propaganda. It's literal Koch brothers, libertarian right propaganda. And it is, that's where it comes from. And most people don't really, they don't really study history in a serious way. So they don't know, do you guys, be honest with me. Could you describe to me the federal, legal regime that existed before FDR as far as policy making? Could you describe it to me? Could you actually write anything or describe it intelligently? Or could you describe exactly what mechanisms were changed by FDR in the 30s and compare and contrast the federal government's, say, regulation of commerce in the 35 versus 1925? Of course you couldn't, which is the important shit. That's what the billionaires hate. FDR basically made a federal government that was powerful enough to contain the rich. Now, they start Teddy Roosevelt and the progressives, the so-called progressives of the early 20th century, they are the first ones who did stuff like the Sherman Antitrust Act, trust busting and things like that. That was, that was when the labor movement started to get its feet under it. But it was in the 30s that organized labor became powerful. It was in the 30s that the federal government actually exercised total economic control. It was in the 30s when redistribution and taxing of the rich was made public policy. Before that, fuck you was the law of the land. It was laissez-faire. It was child labor. It was total economic exploitation to the max. And that's what they hate. They want to go back. The America you live in today, as problematic as it is, anything good about this country comes from FDR or LBJ. Maybe one or two things from Teddy Roosevelt. Everything that blows is everything that's been enacted to fight those people.
They are, some corporate Democrats, some AIPAC Democrats decided they are going to draft a condemnation
FDR
of
too?
Hasan
Yes.
Piker. So,
I think in fairness, it's a bipartisan effort.
Oh, it's a bipartisan effort. Okay,
It's
so
Don
that makes
Heimer and Mike Lawler, who's a Republican.
This is, by the way, the exact same day that we learned that the Supreme Court gutted the Voting Rights Act.
Yeah.
That's awesome. This is also at the same time that Trump is still in this war and, going back and forth on what he says on a daily basis, threatening war crimes on a daily basis.
The FDR explicitly, the New Deal explicitly discriminated against black people. Some policies did discriminate against black people, but other ones did not. which is why FDR won 60% of the black vote.
Prices are going up so fast right now that the guy that tracks gas prices says his algorithm is broken and he can't keep up with it. So that's happening.
Oh no, I did have it open twice. Fuck.
Abdul.
Thank you, chatter.
The base, to your point, the base sees Israel as evil. Like
Correct.
they do not think that they're our great ally and we got to support. Like that's over. It's done.
Dead. Done.
And they're looking for, okay, who are the candidates who have some sort of a moral compass here?
I can't believe I blew out all the chatter's ears. I'm so sorry, chatters. Oh my God. I'm legitimately embarrassed. Like, this is about as embarrassed as I get.
Who are the candidates who
bad.
are different
Sorry,
than
chat.
what we have now? And so what they're doing with this, like, do you condemn Hasan Piker thing, is they're giving a clear dividing line and litmus test that is actually useful to people, because now everybody is saying, oh, I don't take AIPAC money, even if they're taking it under the table and through other groups and whatever.
Right. Mm-hmm.
They've kind of caught on to that. So this is actually helping to clarify. In the Michigan race, you have...
It was a century-old video. I'm sorry. I tried to fiddle with it, and then it broke. I'm so sorry, chat.
Abdul, you've got Mallory McMorrow, and you've got Haley Stevens. Well, we knew Haley Stevens was the AIPAC pick, but Mallory McMorrow had really tried to walk this line. You know, she said it's a genocide. She said she's not taking AIPAC money, etc. I think she said it's a genocide. And once they came in and made this big stink about Hasan, it was clear to people, oh,
that's the one.
Mallory and Haley are over here.
Abdul's over
and
here.
Abdul is over here.
That's
it
right.
was clarifying to people. And so I think I don't know why they think this playbook is going to work for them this time versus the other times that they've tried it, when it has backfired and actually strengthened exactly the candidates that they wanted to stop.
They still think they could do like 2004 type propaganda. It reminds me of like when there was a freak out about a mosque being built near Ground Zero.
Yeah.
Like, can you believe they're building it? It's like this. That's what this sort of feels like. Is like, can you believe Hasan Piker said this? And that's like, bro, like we were just saying, right now, fucking gas prices are skyrocketing, grocery prices are going up. The percentage of the American people who are cool with how the economy is like fucking 22%, something insanely low.
Mm-hmm.
People see that we're spending $2 billion a day to blow up little girls' elementary schools in Iran, and you're gonna fucking punch to the left and go after a streamer who's, by the way, actually popular compared to these fucking idiots. Nobody likes these people except AIPAC, right?
And who genuinely, I think is one of the most racist against anti-Semitism in the whole fucking country.
Yeah,
because who's his
exactly.
audience? It's a lot of young men who could very easily be caught up in a different algorithm and end up at Nick Fuentes'
exactly,
doorstep.
Of course.
And it's
again, that wasn't me. That was them. Left-wing audio today. That wasn't me. That was them. And by the way, like, of course that's true. Of course it's true that we are the only forces that are actually fighting anti-Semitism. I gotta admit something, chat. I think anti-Semitism is terrible, but it gets tiring, man. It does get tiring to be called an anti-Semite or fighting anti-Semitism, while actual anti-Semites are basically left alone. Like Tucker Carlson is an anti-Semite. Nick Fuentes is an anti-Semite. Like they are. They actually are. But it does get fucking tiring. I gotta be honest with you. And, you know, if somebody even implies that Hasan or I are anti-Semitic, I admit I hate them forever. I actually, like, if you call me or Hasan anti-Semitic, I actually despise you and I'll never forgive you. And I'll never forget. So just be careful with that. Just be careful with throwing that out. Because if I find out about it, I will despise you for life. Especially if you're a content creator. You imply me or Hasan are anti-Semitic, I've got it out for you. And I'm never, ever going to forget or relax. I'm working overtime to fuck your career up as well. If I hear somebody call Hasan anti-Semitic, they're done. They're toast. Whenever somebody asks my opinion about somebody, if I find out they ever imply that Hasan is racist or anti-Semitic, I fucking rip them apart. And I've done it a number of times as well. I fuck people's careers up. I'm like, oh yeah, you don't want that guy. Oof. You don't want to bring that guy on your stream or podcast or event. And people ask me that all the time. Like politicians will say, hey, Mike, what do you think of the various political streamers? And I tell them. And I'll oftentimes be like, hey, if you interact with that person, my community will be really mad at you. They're not going to like you if you interact with that person. I really suggest you don't go on that stream. So just letting everybody know that I'm moving like that. I didn't used to do that, by the way. I used to be like, oh yeah, you know, it's really cool over on Twitch. Now I'm like, yeah, most of those streamers are not very useful for your community, and oftentimes they'll put you at odds with other people. It's kind of gross, those people. They also have a lot of suspicious things about them, and then I'll lay it all out. So, and it's never gonna stop, by the way. I'm never ever gonna stop. If I stop streaming, I'll keep doing that. It's, you know, once you call like Hasan or I anti-Semitic, you're permanently fucked. You're permanently fucked, because that is a slander that can get you in serious trouble, both career-wise and even traveling and things like that. So once you start trying to spread that shit, I'm working against you. I'm working against you forever. It's my kind of personal mission now.
Instead, he is so careful all the time to say, this is not about Jewish people. This is about Israel. This is about Israel.
And Zionism. Zionism is the problem.
Exactly.
Not Judaism.
Not Judaism.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know.
Some people will call that petty, but it's not. Like, in the United Kingdom, Jeremy Corbyn lost his election to a fascist because he was called anti-Semitic. And those anti-Semitic slurs were spread about him so much that the Labour Party, like, they literally sabotaged an actual political campaign for power over these totally spurious charges of anti-Semitism to a guy who's basically as nice as Mr. Rogers. The same efforts are being done in America. They're being done against Ilhan Omar. They're being done against Rashida Tlaib. They're being done against Hasan. They're being done against me. They're being done against Zohran Mamdani. Their goals are to destroy these people so they get no political power so that Zionism can prosper. And how does Zionism prosper? By exterminating the Palestinian people. It's not a joke. There is no space for that on the, like, if you are out there doing that shit to the most prominent left-wingers who are, and I am virulently against hate, against bigotry of all kinds. If you're out there doing that shit, there's no space for redemption. You don't get one oopsie on this one. If you're calling other people hateful in the left with no receipts and no evidence and just bullshit that you cooked up, there is no redemption. There is no forgiveness. You are a fucking capo. You are a traitor. And that's just an unforgivable offense.
Sure, there are many people who could have gone in a different direction and seen the, you know, what Israel's doing and just say, oh, all the Jews, blah, blah, blah. Instead, he is giving them the understanding of universalist principles and standing up for human rights. So that's the other part of it that is so disgusting and ironic, is that
they're making anti-Semitism worse. They're making anti-Semitism worse.
And Lauer, who would equate all Jews with this monstrous genocidal ideology.
What the hell?
They're the ones who are truly stoking anti-Semitism here. So I want a resolution condemning them personally.
I mean, I want a resolution condemning them for arming and funding a genocide and cheerleading it on, you know?
Yeah.
They're just absolutely atrocious. Anyway, I told Hasan that I'm a little jealous that he's the main character. Mark Levin did like an hour on him the other day. I was like, why can't any of these people give me some smoke? I want the smoke. I want the fucking smoke. Ben Shapiro, Mark Levin, and he like fucking condemn me in Congress. What the fuck? Officially condemn me. I want some of this, man. I feel bad. He's out there alone in the battlefield, you know, like.
Yeah, they've decided he's the one. I mean, there is definitely like a racist element to it as well. You know,
his name is Hasan, so they're like, ooh, foreign.
Zohran, Abdul, and Hasan, you know, 3 Muslim men that they decide, oh, we're going to make them the target. I don't think that's an accident.
I think that's exactly right.
And I think ultimately, like, and that's why, and by the way, chat, like, I know I gotta say this, and I'm gonna say it loud, and I'm gonna say it proud. I'm white. Now, whiteness is a privilege that I have no matter whether I accept it or not, because it is put on me by society, okay? And I get privileges even if I don't want them because I'm a white man, okay? Do you understand that? And no matter what I do, I will continue to have white privilege in society. When I walk into a drugstore, they're going to glance over at me, go, oh, it's a white guy, and go back, and the security guard is not going to follow me around. When I go to the airport, they're going to look at my name, and they're going to pass me on to the easy section of security. They're not going to put me aside to get secondary screened. No matter what I do, that's the way it is. I have privileges in this society. And those are just 2 minor ones that happen often, okay? Hasan Piker is not white. And I have to say this to you because a lot of people in this space have weaponized the idea that Hasan has spoken about white passive privilege and that he occasionally, especially living in California, he gets passive privilege. But he is not white in the political discourse. He is a Muslim man, and he is treated as such. He is treated like a terrorist. He is called a terrorist supporter, a terrorist. He is treated horribly. He is treated in a discriminatory manner. And it has disgusted me the way I have seen white content creators attack Hasan and claim that he's white, therefore he is privileged. He has no right to talk about X, Y, and Z thing. He is not considered white to the Fox News audience. He is a Muslim man, the son of immigrants, and he is treated as such. He is not given white privilege. That's nonsense. And the fact that Hasan oftentimes draws attention to the fact that he does enjoy some passive privilege in California, that is different than what he actually experiences as a person in the context of our society. And I'm not going to disagree with Hasan about the passive privilege. He definitely gets that. And it's a good on him for pointing that out and saying, hey, this is a benefit that I sometimes get. But that's different than him being white. And it's the same thing with somebody like Caroline. You know, like I've heard people calling Caroline white. Like this type of shit, it may pass in your Discord or whatever the fuck, but it ain't acceptable discourse for white people to do. And, you know, I'm just drawing this attention and I'm bringing this up because it's an important point that needs to be told to people, because apparently people have gotten a little bit loosey-goosey with what they think is okay to do. You should tell Hasan to stop saying he's white. I agree with that. I mean, it's not my place, but I think he should stop calling himself white. I think it's like actually makes people dumber, and it gives his enemies, especially like left, center left people, more of the justification for attacking him in bad faith ways. He is a Muslim man, son of immigrants in America, and he is treated that way. People call him a roach, say he should be deported to Turkey, attack him for being a terrorist supporter. All sorts of ways that white people do not get that same type of attention. And like maybe in 2019, he got white passing privilege in Los Angeles, California, which is one of the most diverse places in America. But that's not, if he went to fucking Scranton, they're not treating his ass as white. And the reason why I'm saying this is because it's making the chatters dumb. Like it's making the chatter like his efforts. Like I know why he did it. And it was to try to talk to white people about the concept of white privilege from the position of being the streamer and telling white people to like slow their roll and kind of self-reflect. But it's actually doing the opposite now. It is white viewers are using it to try to attack him by kind of going like, oh, you're a fellow white person, so I'm going to viciously like try to constrain the way you talk about oppression. And it's like, nah, dude. Like, no. I think when they call Hasan sexist, it's explicitly to paint a particular picture using known stereotypes about Muslim men with names like Hasan. Exactly correct. He is getting both barrels of Islamophobia. And Islamophobia and anti-Muslim bigotry is common in left-wing spaces. It is very common. I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. Sometimes people will call David Pakman a progressive, and he frequently spreads anti-Islamophobic tropes. In fact, I would consider him one of the main purveyors of Islamophobia on the progressive left. And you know, I know he's a large creator. He gets promoted by, you know, he gets weirdly promoted by the algorithm because I don't notice anybody talking about David Pakman in my regular life. But he has a large channel. But he has spread a lot of kind of Islamophobic content. Did he delete it? Huh. Oh, here we go. He likes to do a lot of the anti-Ilhan Omar stuff. Was Ilhan Omar being deliberately anti-Semitic? Dem Ilhan Omar's nonsense tweet. He likes to push this kind of stuff. Uh-oh, Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib also called for deporting citizens. He had this one, he had this video on Linda Sarsour. Oh, there it is. The Women's March has an anti-Semitism problem. Linda Sarsour. Bernie surrogate needs to go. Oh, there it is. Bernie's toxic surrogate, and she needs to go. Yeah, he likes to spread. Women's March leaders asked to step down. Yeah, there was a big Zionist project to basically destroy everybody who was pro-Palestine in the Women's March. And David Pakman was part of that. And he basically likes to attack anybody who's a prominent, Muslim in the... There he is. Explain the difference. And he's showing like an American chud with presumably a member of Hamas or some other Islamic resistance group. They're the same, guys. Women's March cuts ties with Sarsour. How many videos did he make about Linda Sarsour? Now, what did Linda Sarsour say that would piss off somebody like David Pakman? This is what she said.
Jim from The Office is responsible for the millennial voice.
What the fuck is this? What the fuck is going on with Facebook?
White nationalism and anti-Semitism, I would be so proud to win, but also to make history and elect the first Jewish American president this country, the first Jewish American president this country has ever seen, and for his name to be Bernard Sanders. Bernie Sanders believes in us, and he believes in our worth as a people. We all deserve health care and access to higher education, an economy where we all can thrive and not just the top 1%, and a transformative foreign policy, one that is centered on peace and diplomacy. A foreign policy that sees Palestinians as human beings deserving of human rights and self-determination. Bernie doesn't ask us how much these things will cost, because only people who don't believe we deserve these things will ask us how to pay for things like health care, but never ask us how to pay for endless and unjust wars.
So Bernie Sanders posted that, Linda Sarsour, pro-Palestinian advocate. One of the key reasons to support Bernie in 2020 is because he was surrounding himself with people like Linda Sarsour, which was an indication that he would be much more constraining of Israel than other Democratic nominees have ever been. And the response to that was David Pakman put out a number of anti-Sarsour videos. This was the video he posted. Bernie has a toxic surrogate
As
that
many
needs
of you know,
to go.
I like Bernie Sanders a lot. I think he...
And David Pakman has been an Islamophobic bigot and anti-Palestinian propagandist for years, right? That's why he's called David A. Pakman.
His great policies. He's one of the most progressive candidates running, along with Elizabeth Warren.
He refused. By the way, David Pakman refused to endorse Bernie Sanders until after he won. I think it was New Hampshire, and it looked like he was going to win. David Pakman was working overtime to split the progressive vote between him and Elizabeth Warren.
I'd be thrilled for Bernie Sanders to be the Democratic nominee and take on Donald Trump. But when people I like do something I disagree with, I say it. And Bernie Sanders has made a major mistake in naming a woman named Linda Sarsour as a campaign surrogate. Now, I know I'm going to get crushed for this by a sliver of the left. People may cancel paid memberships. They'll be angry that I have the audacity to call out a woman who happens to be Muslim, an identity politics argument. But I am making the effort not to self-censor, and I just see this as a mistake. Linda Sarsour is from the toxic wing of the American left. She is someone who has played coy with and refused to denounce anti-Semitic Nation of Islam leader Louis Farrakhan. She is someone who has participated in marginalizing Jewish women in her role as founder of the Women's March, which I've previously talked about.
Who is she marginalizing? Zionists who are trying to prevent any kind of pro-Palestinian solidarity in the Women's March. And ultimately, the Zionists did destroy the Women's March and nothing replaced it. So the Zionist shills that went into the Women's March called the organizers like Linda Sarsour anti-Semitic, ultimately destroyed the Women's March as an organization. Nothing came to replace it, which is what David Pakman and his also Zionist allies are paid to do. Fuck up the American left.
I don't believe Bernie Sanders should have anything to do with Linda Sarsour. This is simply a mistake, plain and simple.
Just reminding you again, what did Linda Sarsour say?
At a time of startling rise in white nationalism and anti-Semitism, I would be so proud to win, but also to make history and elect the first Jewish American president this country the first Jewish American president this country has ever seen, and for his name to be Bernard Sanders.
Now, guys, does that look like an anti-Semitic person to you? I'm just asking. David I. Pacman, does that look like somebody who's virulently anti-Semitic? So this is what David Pacman was trying to do. And by the way, he smeared Linda Sarsour. And as I said before, he was smearing Ilhan Omar. You know, he's smearing Rashida Tlaib. Like all that shit. So yeah, we need to be aware that this type of shit is going on with Zionists among the left, which is why we need to show solidarity with the people that are under attack. Isn't that nice? Isn't that simple? All right, Chad, I want to tell you a story, which is the most hilarious thing. Apparently, this story has now been confirmed. The Iranian Air Force flying an F-5 bombed an American an Air Force base. The first successful airstrike against an American base going back to like the Vietnam War.
NBC News recently reported that in the initial days of the war, an Iranian F-5 fighter jet bombed the U.S. base at Camp Buehring in Kuwait, despite the base having air defenses, a rare breach that marked the first time an enemy fixed-wing aircraft has struck an American military base in years. And when they say the first time in years, what that actually means is the first time since the Korean War. But the F-5 strike is just one piece of a bigger picture that suggests two things. The first is the Iranians executed a multi-axis, multi-platform attack on March 1st that was much more sophisticated and devastating than the Pentagon has admitted. And the second is, for all the regional buildup going into Epic Fury, there is evidence that the CENTCOM force protection posture left some gaps in base defenses that the Iranians exploited. As former Congressman and U.S. Air Force mission planner Denver Riggleman points out in a recent Substack, the key to Iran's tactical successes, limited of course compared to the hundreds of targets Epic Fury aircraft were hitting across Iran at the same time, but successes that warrant examination nonetheless, began with their intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance efforts days prior. As Riggleman writes, quote, a Financial Times investigation published April 15, 2026, revealed that Iran had acquired a Chinese-built high-resolution Earth observation satellite for the IRGC Aerospace Force in late 2024, a $36.6 million contract, and used it to conduct a complete ISR cycle during the March 2026 strikes. That means that pre-strike reconnaissance, strike timing coordination, and post-strike damage assessment, all via a foreign-operated sub-meter resolution electro-optical satellite. Camp Buehring was specifically listed among the facilities monitored, end quote. Additionally, U.S. forces found GPS transponders on balloons near Patriot
like
systems.
Denver Riggleman? Definitely.
The day after
Although Denver's probably a girl.
The strike. There were also quadcopter reconnaissance flights over Port Shuaibah in the weeks before attacks, and a U.S. Army Central memo concluding that Iranian intelligence had likely tracked personnel movements to dispersed installations. One of the things we reported during the buildup to Epic Fury was the additional Patriot missile batteries that were placed around American installations. The Patriot is an effective, battle-tested air defense system, but as Riggleman points out in his Substack, its target acquisition radar, the AN/MPQ-65, has a well-documented low-altitude performance limitation. It is optimized for ballistic missiles and medium to high-altitude cruise missiles. A small aircraft approaching at low altitude at subsonic or transonic speeds with a minimal radar cross-section presents a detection challenge that Patriot was simply not designed to prioritize. The system can engage low-altitude targets, but the geometry, the radar's elevation coverage, and ground clutter combine to create a meaningful seam at very low altitudes and very slow speeds. The Iranians knew this and exploited it with the F-5's attack profile. This thesis was validated by the emergency $8 billion lower-tier air and missile defense sensor radar sale the U.S. pushed through on March 19th, 3 weeks after the strike. This radar is specifically designed to replace the AN/MPQ-65 and close the low-altitude 360-degree coverage gaps that Patriot's current radar leaves open. As Riggleman observes, you don't approve an emergency $8 billion sale if the existing architecture is working as advertised. He also flags AI as potentially part of the problem, writing that, quote, the U.S. military has been integrating AI-assisted threat prioritization and engagement decision support into Patriot battery operations for years. The $8 billion radar improvement program itself is designed to work with AI-enabled fire control. The debrief question is whether any AI-assisted systems were active in the Camp Buring air defense network during the strike, what threat prioritization decisions those systems made or recommended, and whether the F-5's low, relatively slow profile caused it to be deprioritized algorithmically in favor of the higher kinetic ballistic missile threats in the engagement queue. If AI-assisted triage sorted the F-5 as a lower priority track while the operators were managing a ballistic missile engagement, that is an urgent AI doctrine and training problem, not just a radar problem, end quote. Again, the F-5 attack, while headline-worthy, is only one piece of the picture. On March 1st, Iranian forces were simultaneously launching F-4 Phantoms carrying glide bombs that some intel suggests hit the tactical operations centers at Port Shuaibah, killing 6 American service members.
They were glide bombs? Oh my God, I'm making Pog face. What the fuck? They were counter bombing us with their Air Force. Now, obviously, these are extremely old jets. Like the F-4 has been retired for like 20 years out of the U.S. military. The F-5, I think, was made in the 60s or 50s, right? The F-5 is like 59, manufactured, introduced in 64. So these are old jets. Old jets. But by the way, the F-5 is one of the coolest jets of all time. This is what Red Flag flew in Top Gun. All the traders at Top Gun, they would fly the F-5 against the F-14s in the movie. And then all the enemies are all flying F-5s in like the scenes where they're shooting each other down. Fucking sick. Incredibly sick plane. Again, also the F-20, which I'm a big fan of, was developed out of the F-5. God damn, the F-5 is so cool. It just looks cool. You know, it looks like a little spaceship. I'm just a big fan. It's just an attractive plane. Those short little stick wings. It's just a cool ass plane, man. The F-4 is an ugly plane. It's like a brick.
Su-24s, ultimately shot down by Qatari Air Force F-15s, as previously reported, Shahed-136 kamikaze drones, Fateh-110 solid-fuel ballistic missiles, and cruise missiles across multiple targets in Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Bahrain, and the UAE. Every Patriot battery in the region was engaged in active threat prioritization. Every operator was cycling through engagement decisions faster than any scenario they'd trained for. And on top of that plan...
Okay, if that's true, how the fuck are we fighting a war against China? What a fucking joke. That's why spending trillions of dollars to be like, oh yeah, we're going to fight a war with China is such a waste of money. It's insane. And there's so much seed corn that we're eating, but we could be investing in our own fucking country. It's so insane that this is the world that we now live in. We now live in this world of like absolutely batshit crazy. Oh yeah, we're going to, guys, we're gonna fight China. Excuse me. We're gonna fight China, and we can't even contain Iran. Did you guys see that oil prices spiked insane overnight? Although I think they came back down. Yeah. Brent crude went up to 125 last night, which would make it the highest price going back to the pandemic. Or actually, I'm sorry, it would be the highest price going back to the Great Recession. God, he's so performative. So is he taking the train from New York to Philly? Good choice. Good choice. That's like the only tolerable train ride in America is going from New York to Philly. I'm not even kidding. It's like the highest speed train too. It's the highest speed train in America. It goes from New York to Philly. It is literally the most tolerable train ride. It also goes, you know, you can go to Boston too, and you can go to DC. But you get my point. It's actually decent.
Adding to the task saturation of the Kuwaiti Defense Network was a flight of 3 westbound U.S. Air Force Strike Eagles returning to their base following a mission into Iran. And what analysis ahead of the official investigation report suggests was a fog of war situation, the Air Defense Coordinator mistook the American airplanes for Iranian ones and, with the Patriot batteries dealing with other threats, vectored an alert Kuwaiti Air Force FA-18 Hornet to engage them. The Hornet did...
So in other words, what happened is The reason why the American flight planes got shot down is because the Iranian Air Force was threatening the coast and they were panicking. And an F-5 was bombing their bases. So they were like, they felt like they were losing the air-to-air combat. They panicked and they did friendly fire on their own F-15s because the F-5 came in and bombed their shit. And everything makes so much more sense now.
Just that. Ultimately downing all three of the Strike Eagles, presumably because he mistook them for Iranian MiG-29s. What OSINT's social media accounts and CENTCOM presented at the time as random chaos on the part of the Iranian military now looks to have been a well-coordinated strike plan. So let's talk about the F-5, an airplane I have some experience with, having flown several sorties in the backseat of an F-5F used by VF-43, which was the aggressor squadron at NAS Oceana in the early 90s. The model I flew was very basic, no radar. It didn't even have a parking brake, which meant the pilot had to ride the brakes to stay in place once the engines were running. VF-43 used it to simulate a MiG-23 in that it was fast and hard to see nose on. The usual dogfighting move was to extend and attempt to re-enter the fight after the opponent loses sight. The relatively short wings made the F-5 what we call a bleeder, meaning it had one good turn in it before it got slow and had to unload to regain energy, which it could do quickly because of its lightweight and twin afterburning engines. Iran got F-5.
The F-2 is one of the most beautiful planes ever made. We've got a lawn dart enjoyer in the chat.
It's about the same time they got F-14s, in the early 1970s when the Shah was in power. When the Ayatollah took over in 1979, the U.S. and other Western countries started an arms embargo, which left the Iranian Air Force without spare parts. So, as we documented in the Iranian F-14 episodes a few years ago, they leveraged their domestic brain trust and industrial base to both maintain and upgrade their airplanes. In his Substack, Riggleman details that Iran developed a series of F-5 derivatives, including the Sake variant that has a Baz radar capable of tracking 10 targets and engaging 2 simultaneously at a max range of 50 miles. The Kozar variant has been fitted with a Grifo fire control radar and 4th-gen avionics, including a glass cockpit, heads-up display,
I didn't know about
ballistic
this.
computers, and smart mapping systems. An earlier Chinese program under Project Silk Road 2 equipped some of their F-5s with an SY-80 pulse Doppler radar, radar warning receivers, chaff and flare dispensers, and GPS navigation. So with defense radars saturated by a multi-platform, multi-axis attack, including F-4s coming in supersonic at medium altitude, one F-5 or multiple F-5s snuck in flying subsonic at low altitude and dropped dumb bombs, which hit a helicopter hangar.
Oh my God! Holy shit! We got bombed by a fighter! Oh my God. Dude, they spend $9 billion a year on their military. We're spending trillions. Oh my God, dude. This is like a little leaguer getting hitting a double off of a Major League Baseball pitcher. I'm not kidding. This is like, you know what I mean? Like, that's what just happened. Oh my God, dude.
At Camp Buring. Open source
this isn't a homer, but this is
reporting indicates that the F-5 wasn't the only thing that got through that day at Camp Buring. The CH-47F Chinook was destroyed by a Shahed-136 drone. Satellite imagery also confirms destroyed hangars, wrecked military equipment, and damaged personnel shelters at the base. One estimate put the damage there at roughly $1.9 billion. In his Substack, Riggleman sums it up accurately, writing, quote, "The F-5 strike on Camp Buring is not a story about Iranian air power. It's a story about 3 systemic failures converging at the same moment. A low-altitude radar coverage gap in a system optimized for the wrong threat tier, a saturation attack designed to exploit the human decision cycle, and an intelligence failure that allowed Iran to build an accurate enough picture of U.S. defensive architecture to calculate the seam." Okay, that'll do it for this episode. If you're not already a subscriber, and our data indicates that about half of you who regularly watch this channel aren't, become one so you don't miss anything, including our short notice live streams covering breaking news. In the meantime, I look forward to talking to you again very soon.
Seeing an American fighter pilot talking about how we just got fucking smoked That's crazy, dude. That's fucking crazy, dude. I missed the shill at Hype Trade around an hour ago. Oh, fuck. I didn't shill an hour ago. I forgot to shill. I haven't shilled today. Ladies and gentlemen, it is the end of the month. It is the end of the month. If you enjoy this content, please consider supporting it by subscribing at tier 1, tier 2, or tier 3 sub. If you have Amazon Prime, you can attach that to your Twitch account. You get 1 free sub a month. That's your Twitch Prime sub. Please consider supporting this stream by subscribing today. There's no better day than right now, today, to support the stream, because the way Twitch works is they do a monthly invoice system. So if you subscribe at the end of the month, I get it in 2 weeks. That's when I get my paycheck. So if you subscribe at the beginning of the month, I have to wait 6 weeks to get that money. Twitch and Amazon get to hold on to it for 6 weeks. So the best time to subscribe is the last day of the month. And right now, chat, we are at 6787 subs. So close to 7,000. So if you enjoy the content, support us. Shots fired at Mike. What the fuck's this?
Podcast where I tell you about my personal news, about what's going on in the world of Hasan Abi Piker. They call me Hasan from Pennsylvania now. That's right. I've taken over the throne. I've taken over the mantle. The real Pennsylvania boy is me. None of this Michael from Pennsylvania shit. He's from Taiwan. Going for the...
There's another way of saying this, chat, which is he's stealing my entire flow. You know what I mean? Like Hasan, this is how Hasan projects when he steals someone's entire flow. I was Mike from Beijing until he went to China. Now suddenly I'm Mike from Taiwan. This motherfucker was stuck in Hong Kong, capitalist Hong Kong, Aussie from Hong Kong when he went to China. Now he goes to Philadelphia and he's Hasan from Pennsylvania. Why don't you just admit that I am... If you want to see where Hasan's going to be in 6 months, watch my stream. Okay? You want to see where Hasan is positioning himself for next year? You'll watch my stream today. Okay? You want to see what he's going to talk about later? You'll watch my stream first. This is... I am the Vanguard. I am the Twitch Vanguard. Everybody knows it. He's trying to steal my thunder, steal my flow. But it's all right. How many white people stole people of color's ideas before? It's fine for it finally to go the other way. Am I right? I'm paying reparations. I'm paying reparations by letting Hasan steal my entire flow. Pretty privilege wins again. I know. This is clavicular's shit is being proven right in real time. I hate to see it. I truly hate to see it. How clavicular is being proven right. I should bone smash. I'll hit 10K if I bone smash and get on the GLPs and hit. Maybe I should get some testosterone replacement therapy. Get some juice. Get to the gym. Gain 10 pounds of muscle. I need to do shoulder day twice a week. Yeah. Also, I need to meet myself a head shrinker, because that's the only way my head will ever look like that. Tiny head motherfucker.
Clergy look, yes.
Beetlejuice is what somebody already said, Hasan. All right, let's keep going. Okay, first of all, chat, why streamers are unfollowing Hasan. Hasan Abi reacts. Emmy Rome did not unfollow Hasan. Unless she unfollowed it, I'm not aware of this. There's no fucking way. Unless you're just farming the thumbnail because you think she's beautiful, there's no fucking way. I don't know who that is. That's Emmy Rome. It's my friend, Emmy Rome. What did the thumbnail with us on?
But yes, of course, another day, another complaint.
She's literally a Mike from PA chatter. The woman in this thumbnail is literally a Mike from PA head. Oh, fuck. Where'd it go? God damn it.
But yes, of course, another day.
Isn't that Miley Bobby Brown?
Another complaint. Your haters are trying to cancel your normie followers and failing at it?
Today, where my name's been mentioned or whatever, or just like in case there's an update. And I get this tweet.
He got so mad.
Emmy is... Oh my God. Emmy, it's so funny. People are now stalking our friends. I don't know if Hasan knows her or not. I'm pretty sure she... I don't know. Is she a sub right now? Hold on. Somebody needs to gift her a sub. Somebody needs to gift her a sub. She's only a 4-month sub. Feels bad, man. But no, she... Like, literally. Like, come on. Hold on. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? Yet another Mike from PA head. Falsely accused.
That he literally didn't even demonstrate proper grammar.
Emmy Rome, good.
What level of stalker are we on, bro? What level of stalker are we on, bro? He's like these people are insane. The pearl clutching is abysmal, dude. Big dog. I work with politicians. Like, what the hell are you talking about? I watched a streamer called Dish Soap get bullied into unfollowing you. Wait, what? There's people that are being bullied. They're like, you have to unfollow this.
Like, so one of those like weird, what's his name? Fuck, Neon tried to hit on Emmy at TwitchCon, and she made fun of him.
Party. Okay. I would love for you to come. Why? Because you're very beautiful.
We gotta go.
I love being objective. I'm doing a little after party. Okay. I would love for you to come. Why? Because you're very beautiful.
We gotta go.
I love being objectified.
Come on, let's go.
Wait, what did I do wrong? It's always a fat friend, bro. God, how is a girl gonna say you're getting objectified with your tits out? Am I tripping? I'm doing a little after party.
Look at how mad they got. Look at how mad they got. She's fucking great. That clip is going to go down in history as just a legendary mogging. She was just like, if you go to someone and you're like, hey, you know, I want to invite you to a party without ever talking to them at all, you are objectifying them. If you just walk up on someone and you go 100% by how they look, and that's the only thing that you count, that is objectifying them. That is fucking weird. It's not weird to go up and be like, oh, I find that person attractive, and going try to get to know them and talking to them as a person. That's legit. And then saying, hey, we vibed, which I'm having this thing. But to just go by their looks only, that is objectively objectifying them. That is a weird fucking thing to do, which is why she asked him why. He could have said something else. She's a streamer. She doesn't know. Maybe he liked her content. But if you look at that and you go like, oh, her reaction is weird, it's because, I'm sorry to say, chat, got a little bit misogyny left in you. You don't think of women as people. You don't think of them as people. You only think of them as an object. Literally just had to be like, I've seen your stream and you seem cool. Exactly.
This person, check out his bio of what? The Sheriff Typhoon guy? Bro, I'm telling you right now, this is a devastating.
And she's been following Hasan for, 3 years or something, right? And that guy checked her following on Hasan.
Predicament for a lot of my haters. Okay? I don't understand how we arrived at this level of peak mass hysteria. Day Soap is a goat. Yo, I couldn't believe watching it. People are weaponizing the woke 1.0 tactics to try and silence you, and I think it's going to backfire. I mean, it's not going to work. Obviously, it's not going to work because I'm not, I'm stubborn as shit. Yeah, Van Jones did reach back out to me. He said, I'll reach out. I said, hey, Van, we can have a conversation live whenever you want instead of whatever this video is, balls in your court. He had to reach back out, bro. What do you mean?
Before he said that, he said his plan was to just ask hot girls to go. How are you going to pretend like, you're not, you're shocked by her saying you're objectifying her right as you objectify her?
24,000 likes on that post. I just don't, I truly don't understand what would cause someone to behave like this. Like, this is the type of shit that people would do. This is the type of shit that people would do for, like, I saw this. This is an actual frame he used in the video. Never take Van Jones serious, man. I need him to never talk again. I think this frame is awesome. I think an AI image of this sort is beautiful and wonderful. Okay? You are a hater. Cancel culture is really dead. Damn, bro. They have to work overtime for one unfollow. No, but like, these are the same people who spent most of the woke 1.0 complaining. These are the people who spent most of woke 1.0 complaining about like campus liberalism, right? Campus liberalism and the intense ways in which they refuse to engage with counter arguments, with counter narratives. And they were just always, all they wanted to do was silence their opposition, all this stuff. And like, it certainly did get out of hand in many respects, but at least those campus liberals were like, they had a decent moral posture, a decent moral position. It's anti-communist hysteria. Probably it's ideological, not the specific issues they actually attack you on. I think it is anti-communist hysteria for sure. There's also,
they're trying to cook up another Red Scare. The problem is people don't hate China. They tried to make China look bad, but then China didn't do anything. Like, China's not engaged in anything aggressive. All they're doing is building futuristic cyberpunk cities and high-speed rail and shit and building solar panels. China's not doing anything that they could try to cook up fake scandals, but there's really nothing China's doing that makes them feel like they're an aggressive threat. So it's not working. And in fact, China's going the opposite of what the Soviet Union is. China is making it easier to visit. They're inviting in more tourists. They're making visa-free travel. They're lowering tariffs. They're investing in renewable energy. Like, they're doing things that are generally perceived to be good. If you want to find out what China's like, go to China. It's not that hard. So the like anti-China hysteria is actually diffusing right now. It's not growing. It's going the opposite way. For a little bit there, it was working. For a little bit there, they started to get people to be like weird about China, but it's backfiring now. The TikTok ban failed big time. That's when it started to cook the other way, where people were like, what the fuck?
8 years of cyber stalking that people can lean into. The original person that tweeted that is deleting their tweets saying that they're going to deactivate their account. I think it's just a stupid ass sensitive chud. They can't handle their streamer following Hasan. Yeah, no, it's always like right wingers that treat me with this intensity, where they're like, these are the same.
Well, what's funny about me is like, I was the Hasan defender when no one else was, literally. So, and a lot of people actually attack me for that. A lot of people attack me. They'll be like, oh, Mike just is orbiting Hasan, or Mike is just waiting for Hasan. And I'll be like, the entire Twitch ecosystem is based on your networking. That's what makes people grow the most, is can you make a show that's entertaining on its own, and do you network with people that are similar enough to you that their audiences will be attracted to you? That's the only way to succeed on Twitch, is to have good content and network with people. That's the only way. Every other way doesn't work. But when you do it as a left-winger trying to help other left-wingers, people will try to attack you based on that. And it's fucking weird.
People who are like, oh, woke ass libs who can't handle different opinions, then turning around and being like, you follow Hasan, he's a, how dare you? You can't be this guy who on the one hand is like, what is this? After reading the replies, wait, what? After reading the replies, I would like to personally apologize to everyone I've affected as I interpreted this the wrong way. If you happen to see this, I have nothing against you. I just saw something and commented on something I shouldn't have, and that's my own fault. Side note, it's the right thing to do. Then I will take a break from this app and actually do something productive. I take responsibility for everything that I've caused, and I will refrain from doing it again in the future. You know what? It's better that I just delete the original tweet so I don't upset any more people. I caused an uproar. Wait, what? What the what is going on? Blue Sky is that way, bro. Yeah, these guys need like their own. Isn't Truth Social good enough for them? Hey, thank you, Majority Report, for the raid. Hope you had a good one. She says she was no longer following you. They got what they wanted. Oh no.
This is what he's seeing.
I mean, this is like an insane thing to demand out of any streamer, for the record. Like when you guys try to do this shit to me, when you try to follow police me, what do I tell you? What do I tell you every time?
Emmy Rome has been following Hasan Abi for 4 years, 1 month, 3 weeks, 3 days, 1 hour, 19 minutes, and 41. I mean, she's a fucking Mike from PA follower. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you think you're going to intimidate her? Come the fuck on, bro. Like,
I don't know. I don't really care about what other streamers do. Follow whoever the fuck you want to follow. I follow heinous people, okay? Not to say that I'm a heinous person. I'm very clearly not. But in a media environment that we exist in, unfortunately, advocacy of any sort against some of the most disgusting influences in the space that we're in, you know, when you do stuff like that, you're not seen as a controversial figure. If you oppose things like that, you are seen as a controversial figure. And the very same people who actually love these kinds of bigoted opinions will do everything in their power to make other people who don't have those bigoted opinions feel like I embody those bigoted opinions. The irony, of course, is that if I was, most of these people that are crying about me would unironically and sincerely love me. They would ride for me, as they do for the likes of Asmongold and numerous other quote-unquote apolitical actors who regularly traffic in this kind of toxic behavior, you know?
But ultimately, I think, follow policing and things of that nature are unbelievably cringe. But more power to Emmy Romy. I don't have any ill will I hope she unfollowed so that people don't.
I hope she didn't unfollow. I'll ask her. I'll be like, you didn't unfollow, did you? There's no fucking way.
Harass her any longer. But I have some higher.
I was talking to Emmy. I hope she does not mad at me for saying this, but like when I was talking to her, I was be like, we got you. Because again, she stood up for herself against some fucking weirdo and she got attacked by the incels. And it's like, no, we're the only people that are going to have the back of somebody who's put in that position. All the like corporate, fake, woke, progressive people, they keep their head down and they focus on themselves.
Priority issues to worry about, which are not even issues necessarily. But yes, of course, another day, another
I gotta hang out with Emmy Rome again.
Another day, another complaint.
She's cool.
Every day. We have moved beyond the status of Nick Fuentes, by the way, at this point. I know Nick Fuentes cries all the time about being like debanked or being attacked relentlessly, but seemingly for the Israel first congresspersons in this country, regardless of which side of the political spectrum they may be on, I am a much more significant threat than any of these other people, apparently. So shouts out to the one or maybe many AIPAC donors that have been actively pursuing this process. It's not going to work. It's not going to do anything. Most people are reasonable and intelligent enough to recognize that this is a very clear designed smear campaign. So again, it's just like, yeah, I'm in the ranks of some of my favorite politicians, Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar. I'm up there now.
What in the actual are you talking about? Like, dude is acting like I personally pay Hasan like thousands of dollars a month to fund him talking about whatever he's talking about. Bro's acting like I wake up and pray to him at a shrine or some shit. Like, what are you talking?
Anyway, we are this close to a Trump shout out. Yeah, it's coming. It's coming.
I
Sad
told
this is
you guys,
happening
the
to
Trump,
you.
The Trump Hasan, I predicted that. That's another thing I predicted. It's only a matter of time. I predicted that too. I'm the person who first predicted the Trump shout out. No one else predicted it before me. Okay. Oh shit. What a beautiful day, chat. All right, before we go, let me check on the market. The market's doing well. Why are they going? What the fuck is it going up for? The oil prices are not low. They're still high. What is happening? Touches new high as traders look past post-earning declines for Meta, Microsoft. Okay, they beat estimates on AI demand. Meta tanks 9%, Alphabet climbs 7%, and each company raises CapEx spend. Maybe there's an optimism about the new Fed chair, lower, but they're not going to. Unless we're going into full-blown, oh my God, are we going into Turkeyism? Oh my God. Trump is America's Erdogan. I feel like Hasan has said that before. Okay, so the thing about Turkey is they had high inflation and their central bank was like, okay, we need to raise interest rates really high to like crush inflation. And Erdogan kept firing everybody and kept keeping the rates low and inflation kept being horrible. And it basically destroyed Turkey's economy. Basically, like, what are we doing? What are we fucking doing? I mean, that would explain why stocks are going up. If they are anticipating easy money, that would be an obvious reason, right? Because oil prices are really high. All right, be right back.
What does that mean? What does it mean that, labor is getting its ass kicked by capital? It's almost like if you could put those on parallel tracks, one can build the other. But I think you can't build the one without the other. Right. Does that make sense?
Oh, what 100%. And this is and that's the struggle, honestly. I mean,
right.
that's the challenge that, especially when we are arrayed against such a vast amount of wealth that is going to try to push back.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the thing: we need to, we need to try. If we don't fight back, I mean, these lunatics want us to own absolutely nothing, turn our lives into subscription models, turn all of our being into some commodified avatar in data that they sell?
Be replaced by
by robots.
By robots and autonomous intelligence. Like that's
Yeah. No. Like this is like that. Like that's what they want, and we can't. We literally cannot let them win. I mean, if they win,
Intel is up 350%. Said U.S. has a 10% stake in it. Wait a minute. You're telling me that government-owned enterprise causes faster growth? Which country learned that?
That is a bleak.
All right, Chad, I've got a lot. I hate to call it early today, but I actually have a lot I need to do. Thank you guys for supporting the stream. It's been a great month. I just got a call from a reporter, so I'm gonna go and call them back. Oh no. Oh no. The thing about me, when's the next reaction pod? It will be released on Saturday, duh. That reminds me, make sure that you guys all follow the reaction pod. I don't know why I'm being dumb. Holy shit. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. The thing is, I understand that reporters are not on your side, and they're usually not very good people. I don't have the like internet leftist opinion of the fourth estate. Or whatever I know what it is. I know what reporters are. They don't like you and they want to fuck you over. And that's a pretty generally true feeling for every reporter. Now, there's a few people that are reporters that I like, but I like them despite the fact that they are reporters. I think the British have the right opinion on reporters, which is that they're bad people. Oh wait, never mind. VO's not live. I don't know why I did that. All right, well, everybody, I'm gonna take off a little bit early. Ooh, Caroline's live. I'm gonna raid Caroline, and I'm gonna call this reporter back. Oh God. So Mike has the same opinion. I mean, generally, reporters are people who are trying to publicize you looking bad. That's kind of generally how it is. Oh, VO's gonna go live tonight. Nice. Okay, cool. Generally, reporters are people that are trying to make you look stupid or bad, and you can't trust them until you demonstrate a long-term relationship where they have, through actual reporting, showed you in a fair light. It's always a bummer whenever a reporter calls you because you're like, what are they gonna do now? How are they gonna use me to hurt the people that I care about? You know what I mean? That's usually how that goes. All right, everybody, stay safe. Solidarity forever. I will see you. Caroline is doing a rally in St. Louis with Cori Bush and Hasan Piker later. Hell yeah. All right, everybody. See you soon. Peace out.